Chapter 801. Everyone was shocked, and the expressions on their faces were wonderful. Fuck him to death. Li Wuji raised his long knife and shouted excitedly, as if he had been given blood. As a result, the surroundings were quiet, especially Hong Chenny looked at him as if he was looking at a retarded person. Seeing that no one responded, Li Wuji put down the knife angrily and shrank his neck, not to mention how embarrassed he felt. Yi Junline's mouth twitched slightly. No, are you cheering for your teacher, or are you making fun of your teacher? Are you mentally retarded? Dishan stared at Yi Junline and said in a deep voice, Fellow Taoist Yi, I admit that you are very strong, but you can't work this way. What do you mean? Do you think my master can't kill that idiotic lord of the divine court? Seeing his master being questioned, Li Wuji glared at his big eyes and asked excitedly. Shut up. Yi Junline couldn't stand listening anymore and said angrily. Oh. In the crowd, Gubuli looked depressed and muttered, it's too much. Who said I wanted to kill him? It's obvious that even dogs can't be beaten. DTN shook his head. What I mean by this is not that I don't recognize fellow Taoist Yi's strength, but that if you can't find him first, how can you defeat him? After the previous battle, he completely refreshed his understanding of Yi Junline's strength, so he did not think that Yi Junline was incapable of fighting against the Lord of the Divine Court. But the problem is, they are already hiding, and it's useless even if you turn them upside down in this vast universe. That seems to be the case. Yi Junline raised his eyebrows, realizing the seriousness of the problem. If a saint of creation really wants to hide, he really can't find the hiding place. It's like two-dimensional creatures don't know the existence of three-dimensional creatures, and they can't even figure out the specific location of three-dimensional creatures. Therefore, it is undoubtedly a foolish dream to find the Lord of the Divine Court. In this case, we will be in a passive situation and can only sit back and wait for death. Empress Fuyao gritted her teeth. Cheng Shengguang and the others felt their hearts sinking to the bottom, feeling powerless to change. Could it be that we can only follow the method DTN said to pollute the star core of Kunlun Realm again and ruin the great future of Kunlun Realm with our own hands? They are unwilling to accept this result no matter what. So desperate. Suddenly, Panlong Wu's Holy Spirit had an idea, and he cupped his hands and said, Everyone, if you don't mind, you can move to our holy martial realm to live. When the matter is completely resolved, it won't be too late to come back to the Kunlun realm. After listening to it, Panlong martial saints still believed that the Kunlun realm had to make sacrifices. When the Kunlun realm declines, where will these saints go? In this regard, Panlong martial saint directly stated that he wanted all the strong men in Kunlun realm to move to the holy martial realm. Anyway, he warmly welcomed them. This would not only enhance the status and strength of the holy martial realm, but also make good friends, reputation. Everyone's expressions were very resistant. Although the holy martial world can be regarded as a high-level world of holy Tao, and they can continue to practice well after they go there, they always feel a little uncomfortable in their hearts. I'm just giving you an opinion, nothing else. Upon seeing this, Martial Saint Panlong smiled awkwardly but politely. Fellow Taoist Yi, if you can't do it, I can do it for you. DTN said firmly. Anyway, he was originally going to pollute the star core, but something happened in the middle, and the result would be the same if left to him. Who knows? Yi Junline waved his hand, the ship will be straight when it reaches the bridge. If that day comes, I will only bear the consequences. As for the star core, none of you can even think about it. What? DTN almost suspected that his ears had misheard, and said excitedly, you are just trying to get lucky. When the Lord of the Divine Court becomes a god with the help of it, we will all be liquidated by him, and the entire universe will become an execution ground. He couldn't understand Yi Junline's actions. Yi Junline was not angry, and chuckled, if he becomes a god in the future, I will also have a way to deal with it, so I won't bother you. Upon hearing this, DTN was extremely shocked. People have become gods, do you still have a way to deal with it? Brag. Crazy, really crazy. Luan felt ridiculous and felt that everything would be destroyed in the hands of this silver-haired young man. Fellow Taoist Yi, are you really? Empress Fuyao cast a shocked look, wanting to further confirm the authenticity. Yi Junline said, yes, I have my own way to deal with it. The clear voice was like iron, with unquestionable power. Anyway, he has the strongest trump card, which is to be strong when encountering a strong one. Even if it is a god, he will be confident to kill it. Okay, I believe you. Empress Fuyao said in a deep voice without asking any more questions. Along the way, she has seen the other party turn the tide many times. In other words, without the other party, the Kunlun world would never be as glorious as it is today. Therefore, when Yi Junlin confirmed her, Empress Fuyao chose to trust him without hesitation. She felt that Yi Junlin would definitely not joke about this kind of issue. Since it says it has the ability to solve it, it will definitely happen. We believe it too, everyone in heaven shouted, with firm eyes. All along, Yi Junlin has been creating miracles. As witnesses, they have already been impressed, so they have no doubts. Or maybe they don't have the qualifications to question. After all, it was Yi Junlin who established the heavenly court, which allowed the monks in the Kunlun world to straighten their backs and regain their confidence. This is why they are willing to bet their fate on each other. The reason is simple, because it's worth it. Seeing this scene, Dtian and Luan's scalps tingled, their faces full of disbelief. Are you serious? Such an outrageous guarantee, you also believe it? Crazy, really crazy. Luan sat on the ground, muttering to himself. Dtian clenched his fists in anger, extremely unwilling. He felt that the fate of Kunlun realm and the entire universe would be destroyed because of Yi Junlin's willfulness. But there was no way, who made him inferior to others? That's it. For the sake of insurance, Dtian and Luan were imprisoned in the Sky Prison respectively, so that they also lost the threat to the Star Core. Panlong Wusheng took Shang Jiba and said goodbye to everyone, intending to set off back to Shengwu realm, and at the same time stated that what he heard would be kept strictly confidential and would never be disclosed to the outside world. On the way, Panlong Wusheng sighed, it's really one wave after another. Can this Yi Tiandi really deal with the Lord of the Divine Court? He didn't dare to think about the power of the Saint of Creation, let alone a god who was more powerful than the Saint of Creation. He couldn't figure out what Yi Junlin had the confidence to say such a thing. Master, I believe in fellow Taoist Yi. Since he dares to say so, he must have a way. We don't need to worry too much, Shang Jiba said in a deep voice with a clear gaze. After experiencing all the previous things, he also became a die-hard fan of Yi Junlin, believing that as long as Yi Junlin promised, he would definitely be able to complete it. Jiba, you, Panlong Wusheng looked stunned. He didn't expect that his apprentice also trusted Yi Junlin without thinking. He was really convinced. What kind of personality charm is this? Chapter 802. For a period of time later. With the disappearance of the two great saints of creation, the Saint Ancestor realm became the highest combat power in the universe. As the strongest Kunlun realm, it is undisputedly the first among all the worlds in the heavens, and it is the most powerful world. And the heavenly court has also become the strongest force in the universe. Even the starry sky began to say that the divine court realm is already in name only, and it should be called the heavenly court realm now. No one dared to refute this. After all, the heavenly court is now as bright as the sun, and no force can compete with it. The Lord of the heavenly court is standing at the top of the world, and is a symbol of invincibility in the current era when the Saint of Creation disappears. Even the former Lord of the divine court chose to avoid its edge and dared not fight with it. In addition, the former high-level officials of the Divine Court were almost wiped out by Yi Tiandi, and they, a group of small characters, had no say. It can be said that the current Heavenly Court is simply the only one, firmly occupying the unique dominant position. Therefore, it is reasonable that the Divine Court realm is changed to the Heavenly Court realm. As many powerful people expected, the Heavenly Court soon issued a public statement, which roughly meant that the Lord of the Divine Court was incompetent and unjust, and that the Lord of the Heavenly Court would preside over the overall situation and rule all the heavens and worlds from now on, announcing that the Divine Court realm was officially changed to the Heavenly Court realm. Boom! Once this statement was issued, it immediately caused a violent response in the universe. After all, this was equivalent to declaring that the Divine Court was overthrown and the Divine Court realm was a thing of the past. Panlong Wusheng, the Lord of the Holy Martial Realm, took the lead in expressing his approval and declared that he was willing to lead the Holy Martial Realm to submit to the Heavenly Court for generations. Although he was also afraid that the Lord of the Divine Court would settle accounts later, since it had come to this point, he might as well go all the way to the end. Seeing Panlong Wusheng come forward to express his position, the leaders of other worlds cursed secretly, and they really couldn't keep a low profile. If they didn't come forward, wouldn't they offend the Heavenly Court? Would they have a good harvest in the future? Originally, Panlong Wusheng was not in a hurry to jump out. They wanted to keep silent collectively. After all, the Lord of the Divine Court is not dead yet. He is just hiding. What if he comes out to take charge of the situation one day and restores the era of the Divine Court? Will they, who clearly support the Heavenly Court, still have a life? You know, before, the leader of the Light Clan, Satu Tien, was punished by the Lord of the Divine Court just because of an offensive act. He was a super powerful man with a great reputation, but he was killed just like an ant. Therefore, they can't imagine that one day in the future, the Lord of the Divine Court will come back and regain the ruling power of the starry sky. They, who publicly expressed their support for the heavenly court, will not be able to escape and will be slaughtered. Thinking of the danger in it, the world masters groaned in their hearts and hated Panlong Wusheng to the bone. There is no way, if they don't express their position, it is equivalent to being an enemy of the heavenly court. In the final analysis, most world leaders still believe that when the Lord of the Divine Court is fully restored, the glory of the heavenly court will be destroyed. After all, he is a saint of creation, a transcendent existence that always stands above all beings in the universe. The Lord of the heavenly court is very strong, but he is still a saint ancestor. How can he defeat a saint of creation? I am afraid that it will be difficult to even compete with him. In this situation, if you stand on one side, the risk of being liquidated in the end is very high. Many world masters feel extremely embarrassed and hesitant. The new world master of the Wuxi realm, Dao Chengqing, hates the heavenly court very much, because his most respected teacher died at the hands of the Lord of the heavenly court, and the entire Dao clan was seriously injured. Fortunately, he finally broke through the saint ancestor realm, stood up to turn the tide, became the new Dao clan leader, and stabilized the overall situation. Seeing that many realm masters were wavering, Dao Chengqing knew that the opportunity had come, and immediately secretly encouraged a group of realm masters to fight against the heavenly court, maintain a united front, refuse to recognize the legitimacy of the heavenly court, and wait for the return of the Lord of the Divine Court. Everyone, Panlong Wusheng is willing to be a lackey for the heavenly court, that's his business. We just don't recognize the legitimacy of the heavenly court. As long as we persist, the heavenly court will compromise. When the Lord of the Divine Court returns one day, we will not be implicated. Dao Chengqing said in a deep voice. After all, Wuxi was once the first in the Divine Court. Although it fell to second place, its residual prestige is still there, and its appeal is still very strong. Amitabha, what the Taoist said makes sense. I think that Emperor Yi Tian has already fallen into the devil's way and is a demon in human skin. He dared to kill the true Buddha of our Buddhist race, which is enough to prove this. The new leader of the Buddhist race also supported Dao Chengqing. The Western Heaven realm, including him, hated Yi Junlin very much, believing that Yi Junlin ignored Buddhism and was not worthy of ruling the world. If you ask me, we should just unite and collectively not express our views, and force the Heaven Court to compromise. Said Satu Mo, the new leader of the Heaven realm. Satu Mo's eldest brother is Satu Tien, who was killed by the Lord of the Divine Court, but he does not hate the Lord of the Divine Court. On the contrary, he believes that the culprit of all this is Yi Junlin. If Yi Junlin had not killed the descendant of the holy body of light, then his eldest brother would not be eager to take revenge, offend the Lord of the Divine Court and then be killed. Many world masters thought it made sense. They didn't object openly, but just wanted to keep silent about this matter. Surely heaven would not hold on to it. In short, all the heavens and worlds united together and kept silent to see what heaven could do to them. That's it. Under the secret instigation of these three giants, except for Panlong Wusheng, few world masters stood up to express their opinions. They were just betting that heaven would give up. In a word, if you want to establish a heavenly realm, it is your business. We will neither stand up to oppose nor speak in support of it, so we will do whatever we want. Master, apart from us, no other world is willing to support heavenly court. Shang Jiba from the holy martial world said with an ugly face. HMPH, you are too naive to think that you can get away with it this way. Just watch, the fun is about to begin. Martial Saint Panlong looked at the stars and sneered. Far away in heaven, Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows when he received the news, they didn't even give me face. Several days have passed since Heavenly Court issued a statement, and in the end, only the holy martial world led by Panlong Martial Saint expressed their surrender. In other worlds, it is just like discussing, and everyone will remain silent. In this way, the so-called heavenly realm is a joke, not as good as when the divine realm existed. Hey, they are also afraid that the Lord of the Divine Court will settle accounts with their queen, and they want to distance themselves from us as much as possible. Lu Wangshu said helplessly. Haha, to put it bluntly, you just don't trust my strength and think I will be kicked out sooner or later. Yi Junlin hit the nail on the head and sneered. As soon as these words came out, Lu Wangshu was speechless. Suddenly, a red figure appeared in the hall. Hong Chenny cupped her hands and said solemnly, Master, I have something important to report. Explain. According to reports from my church's spies, the realm masters of the Wuxi realm, the Western Heaven realm, and the Heaven realm secretly instigated a group of realm masters to rebel against the heavenly court, which created the current situation. Hear the words. The temperature of the hall dropped suddenly, and Lu Wangshu couldn't help but shudder. Yi Junlin narrowed his eyes, showing a dangerous tone. Okay, play with me like this, right? These three major worlds were at odds with the Kunlun realm before, but now they have all been crippled by him. Unexpectedly, they are still being dishonest. In this case, don't blame him for being ruthless. Master, we want to. Hong Chenny said tentatively. Yi Junlin said coldly, kill them all. As ordered, my disciple will lead people to arrest these three guys and execute them as a warning to others. After saying that, Hong Chenny was about to leave and start working on this matter. Wait, who told you to do this? What I mean is that no one is left alive in these three worlds. They are all destroyed, Yi Junlin said in a serious tone. What? Lu Wangshu on the side was stunned with shock. The beginning realm, the Western Heaven realm, and the Heaven realm. These three worlds are all super worlds with profound foundations and long existence. Each world can accommodate billions of living beings. If he really wanted to kill them all, he couldn't imagine how much of a sensation it would cause. Even the demon lord Hong Chenny, who had experienced bloody storms and grown up on the demon path with endless killings, was shocked by his master's decision and was shocked. At first, he thought that he should kill the chickens to scare the monkeys and arrest and execute the leaders of the three worlds to shock the world. Who would have thought that Yi Junlin was going to directly slaughter these three worlds? Hong Chenny suddenly felt that she was still not cruel enough. Go and bring more people. Yi Junlin turned around and ordered. Yes. Hong Chenny suppressed the trembling in her heart and left the hall. He didn't have any objections and was even a little excited. Lu Wangshu hesitated to speak, and finally chose to remain silent. After all, these three worlds were not friendly to the Kunlun realm before, and they deserved this end. Yi Junlin was very satisfied that Lu Wangshu did not stop him, otherwise he would really be disappointed. What he hates most is people who are soft-hearted at critical moments. What the three worlds did was a slap in his face. In this case, you must bear the consequences. At the same time, it is also establishing prestige for heaven. Chapter 803. The creatures of the three worlds did not leave peacefully. Under Yi Junlin's order, Hong Chenny led a group of powerful people in the heavenly court to massacre the Wuxi realm, the Western Heaven realm, and the heavenly world. This was a huge massacre. No one dreamed that the heavenly court would be so tough and iron-blooded. In the flames of war, Dao Chengqing, wearing a blood-stained and torn Taoist robe, looked at the powerful figures in the sky with despair, and said hoarsely, Heavenly Court, you will be punished. Our today is your tomorrow. Is this your last words? It's really ridiculous. Hong Chenny sneered, raised his hand and slapped a flaming palm print, killing Dao Chengqing who was at the end of his strength. The Dao clan, which lost the support of Dao Chengqing, was slaughtered like chickens and dogs, and all the creatures in the Wuxi realm were killed. At the same time, the Western Heaven realm and the Heaven realm were successively breached, and billions of lives died in this catastrophe. Before dying, some people cried bitterly, some pointed at the sky and cursed, some regretted, and some wanted to fight to the death. But in the end, they all became corpses under the attack of the heavenly court. This battle lasted for 7 days and 7 nights. The three superworlds that were once full of vitality and prosperous in the holy way have completely become a thing of the past and disappeared in the long river of history. There is no way. The top masters of the older generation of the three worlds responded to the call of the old heavenly slaves at that time and died in the battle to attack Yi Junlin. Only 2 or 3 big cats and kittens were left. What can they use to fight against the powerful heavenly court now? Even if Yi Junlin did not take action, with the current strong strength of the heavenly court, it can sweep these three worlds. This is the fact. When the heavenly court did this with a crushing momentum, all the creatures of the heavens who witnessed it were trembling, and they were almost scared to death. What a joke. The worlds that were once ranked in the top 3 of the divine court were destroyed just like that. This is not as simple as massacring a city, this is destroying a world. Billions of lives were killed, including countless saints, who were buried under the ruthless iron cavalry of the heavenly court. The starry sky trembled, and the universe was afraid. Countless strong men who heard the news did not recover for a long time, and trembled with fear. It was too cruel. The heavenly court was killing the chicken to scare the monkey, and to shock the heavens and all the worlds. The world masters who were still wavering and lucky were awakened at this moment, with deep fear in their eyes. Even the Wuxi realm, the Western Heaven realm, and the Heaven realm, the three immortal worlds, were destroyed at will. What else did the heavenly court dare not do? Their previous ridiculous tricks were not worth mentioning in front of the real iron-blooded wrist. Then, as if it was an agreement, countless world leaders stood up to express their opinions, fearing that they would be destroyed if they were a step late. My Shifeng realm is willing to submit to the heavenly court and be loyal to the Lord of the heavenly court. My Hunyuan realm is willing to submit to the heavenly court and be loyal to the Lord of the heavenly court. My Nirvana realm is willing to submit to the heavenly court and be loyal to the Lord of the heavenly court. My Wuji realm is willing to submit to the heavenly court and be loyal to the Lord of the heavenly court. My Changsheng realm is willing to submit to the heavenly court and be loyal to the Lord of the heavenly court. The world masters of all the heavens and myriad realms responded to the statement issued by the heavenly court as if they were forced to do something. Although they were afraid of being liquidated by the Lord of the divine court afterwards, that was a matter for the future. If they did not obey the new master now, they would have to die. Anyway, it was death whether it was early or late, so why not choose to die later? At least there was still hope for the future. So far, the heavenly court realm officially replaced the divine court realm, which became everyone's consensus. In the Nine Netherworld, all the tribes were so frightened that they could only try to reduce their presence. Today is different from the past. Without the checks and balances of the two great saints, the balance between the two sides has been broken. Yi Tiandi, the lord of the heavenly court, overwhelmed all the heroes, and his influence was unprecedented. Even Luo Wuliang, who was known as the strongest man in the Nine Netherworld, seemed to be eclipsed and at a disadvantage. Think about it, from the establishment of the heavenly court to the domination of the heavens and the world, becoming the top force in the universe, it took only 100 years. This is simply a miracle that cannot be replicated. Of course, this is just what the outside world sees. They would never have thought that the heavenly court had actually developed in the Kunlun realm for tens of thousands of years, which created the miracle of a sudden rise. In this context, the cultivators of the Nine Netherworld were deeply uneasy and anxious. What should they do if a fight really broke out? Therefore, the cultivators of all tribes in the Nine Netherworld did not dare to go out and entered a state of first-level alert. Shira realm. In the palace, a tall and majestic middle-aged man stood with his hands behind his back, feeling particularly heavy-hearted. Luo Wuliang had never expected that the heavenly court, which he once looked down upon, now had such a mighty momentum. With the current power of Juyu, how could he contend with the powerful heavenly court? Even he himself could hardly be the opponent of Yi Tiandi. If the Shira blood in my body could return to its ancestral state, perhaps I could really fight that guy. But, how easy is that? The strength of the blood of the Asura clan can be distinguished by the color of the Asura chi. For example, Luo Wuliang's is dark red, which is already the pinnacle of the Asura clan. The higher one is dark gold. This is the legendary symbol of the Shira king. Luo Wuliang thought that if he could possess the strongest blood of the Shira king, then the combat power he exerted would be 1,000 times the original basis. Directly transform into a super Shira man, invincible in the world. At that time, will you still be afraid of the so-called Lord of Heaven? Suddenly, two auras appeared behind him, one of which he was very familiar with, but the other was very strange. Who? Luo Wuliang turned his head, his eyes shot cold light, and shouted coldly. Father, it's me, a tall and heroic young man said. Looking at this man with eyebrows and eyes that are somewhat similar to his own, the coldness in Luo Wuliang's eyes faded. It's Yunur, where have you been during this period? Why did you leave the palace without a word? At this point, his tone was a little reproachful. Luo Yan was his most proud and respected son, and he was still like this before, so Luo Wuliang was very worried about Luo Yan's leaving without saying goodbye. Father, the child just went out to relax, it's not a big deal, on the contrary, there are unexpected gains. Luo Yan swept away the previous depression of being hit, and the whole person was refreshed, and his eyes were shining. What gains? Luo Wuliang felt something was wrong. This is joyful heavenly venerable. She has a way to strengthen the blood power of our clan. Luo Yan hurriedly introduced the white-robed figure behind him, his tone full of respect, his eyes carrying a different color. Joyful heavenly venerable. Hearing this strange name, Luo Wuliang instinctively became alert, his eyes fixed on the graceful white-robed figure. It is me. The voice was soft and crisp. The other party raised her head, and under the hood was a charming face. The fox eyes seemed to contain some magical power, as if they could seduce souls. You woman, who gave you the courage to come here to cheat? How dare you brag and claim that you can strengthen the blood power of our clan? Luo Wuliang was angry, and a terrible sense of oppression was released from his body. In an instant, the air around him was solidified, suffocating. The blood level of the Asura clan is destined at birth, how could it be increased? This is simply nonsense. Father, what Wan Shi Tianzun said is true. Just look at the child. Luo Yan hurried out to testify, and his whole body suddenly shook. Countless Shira Qi came out of his body, and the dark red was mixed with some dark gold, which looked particularly strange and extraordinary. How is it possible? Seeing this, Luo Wuliang, who didn't believe it at first, lost his voice and his eyes showed disbelief. Part of the dark red Shira Qi turned into dark gold, which is a sign that the bloodline is extremely close to the Shira king. What is the origin of this Wan Shi Tianzun? By what means did he do this? It took Luo Wuliang a long time to suppress the shock in his heart, and he looked at the white-robed woman of unknown origin again. His attitude improved, but he was still a little wary. Your Excellency Tianzun, may I ask how you did it? Why do you want to help our Asura clan? There is no such thing as a free lunch, and any kindness from strangers is purposeful. What's more, it's such a great favor. Luo Wuliang didn't believe that the other party had no intention. Patriarch Luo asked a good question. I naturally have a unique secret technique to improve the blood of the Asura clan. The reason I help you is just because I have a grudge against the Lord of Heaven. This charming woman who calls herself Happy Heavenly Venerable has an extreme coldness in her eyes. She is Bo Chengli. After Bo Chengli harmed the Black and White realm, she went to other worlds to improve her cultivation in the same way, and reached the perfection of the Saint King realm. She thought she was already very strong and could go back to take revenge. As a result, reality gave her a big slap in the face again. Yi Junlin not only slaughtered the top 10 geniuses on the supreme list, but also defeated a group of Saint Ancestor Realm giants, openly overthrew the rule of the Lord of the Divine Court, led the Heavenly Court to rule the heavens and the worlds, and became the strongest person in the starry sky. In this regard, Bo Chengli was very shocked. She didn't expect that the powerful enemy she had met in the immortal world would achieve such a great achievement one day. And she could only wander around, watching her enemy sitting on the throne in great glory, enjoying the worship from all the tribes in the world. Just when Bo Chengli fell into self-doubt and internal friction, she thought of a new place to go, that is, the Nine Nether Realm. Since the Shenting Realm has fallen and become the territory of the Heavenly Court, she will find another way and go to the Nine Nether Realm to try her luck. Later, she met Luo Yan who was wandering outside. Since the failure of that mission, Luo Yan was hit hard and lost his mind. From then on, he disappeared from the public sight. When Luo Yan's will was weak, Bo Chengli used the characteristics of his own skills to ask about his well-being while seducing him. In the end, Luo Yan couldn't resist the offensive and fell under the skirt of this woman. The two sides turned over and over in the cave, and the yin and yang intercourse lasted for several months. Using Luo Yan's body, Bo Chengli broke through the bottleneck and reached the Saint Ancestor realm she had longed for. This means that she is more confident in controlling the men in the Saint Ancestor realm. After this period of control, Luo Yan, as the strongest genius of the younger generation of the Asura clan, has long been dominated by Bo Chengli's skills, just like a humble dog who only knows how to obey his goddess. In this process, Bo Chengli developed another direction of his skills, that is, she can no longer ask for the target, but give back. In the case of in-depth communication, she can develop the potential in the other party to a greater extent, such as blood, or physique. This is also the reason why the blood in Luo Yan's body can tend to the Asura king. But according to Luo Yan's potential, it has already reached its limit, and his bloodline cannot completely transform into the level of the first generation of Shira king. Bo Chengli had no choice but to point his spearhead at Luo Yan's father, the recognized strongest man in Juyu, and the man who is most likely to compete with the Lord of Heaven. Her ambition is very big, not only to improve her cultivation, but also to control the entire Asura clan, and even the Juyu world. Chapter 804. Hear the words. Luo Wuliang's expression softened a little. This was the answer he wanted to hear. After all, no one was willing to help someone in times of need for no reason. At the same time, he was very interested in the unique secret technique Bo Chengli said. What kind of secret technique could do this? If the bloodline of every Asura warrior could be increased, wouldn't the overall strength be improved by several levels? Luo Wuliang's thoughts were very beautiful. Nowadays, Heavenly Court is gaining momentum. When things stabilize during this period, they may not target the Nine Netherworld in the future. What he has to do is to be able to resist the invasion of heaven. When Luo Wuliang thought about the future exchange of offense and defense, he felt like fate was playing tricks on people. After all, it was Juyu who took the initiative to attack in the past, but he never thought that one day Juyu would become the target of a crusade. That's quite ironic. Fortunately, the situation has turned around, and this turning point lies with a woman. Thoughts are turning. Luo Wuliang's attitude was full of respect and he said seriously, Your Majesty Tianzun, since you and I both have a common enemy, then we naturally have a need to cooperate. Bo Chengli chuckled and said, Clan Chief Luo is still happy. Great, with the help of Wanshi Tianzun, our clan will definitely be able to create a new glory. We are not afraid of the threat of heaven. Luo Yan said happily. You did a good job, you brought me a surprise when you came back. Luo Wuliang looked pleased and patted his eldest son on the shoulder. What he didn't know was that a bigger surprise was yet to come. Brother, you are back. At this time, a female voice like a nightingale sounded with excitement. A Lolita with twin tails walked into the hall with a face filled with surprise. With her big belly, she seemed a bit clumsy when moving. Rosa was very happy to see her eldest brother return. She was worried to death when he disappeared. Little sister, you have suffered. Seeing his sister, Luo Yan hurriedly greeted her, with a hint of distress in her eyes. Oh, I'm used to it. It'll be great if you can come back. Our family can be happy together again. Rosa smiled with crooked eyebrows, which was very cute. Suddenly, she noticed that there was a woman in white robe on the field. She wrinkled her nose and said in a vigilant tone. Who is this woman? Did you bring her here, brother? For some reason, when Rosa saw this woman for the first time, she always felt something was strange. She always had a very accurate sixth sense, but she felt a kind of resistance or even disgust towards this woman. Little sister, come and meet Tianzun Wanshi. This is the most distinguished guest of our Asura clan. Luo Yan led his sister to Bo Chengli and said excitedly. This must be the princess of the Asura tribe. I have long admired her name. Bo Chengli smiled, but his smile was inexplicably hypocritical. What Wanshi Tianzun? I've never heard of it. Rosa snorted coldly, not hiding her hostility. Little sister, you must not be rude. Apologize to Wanshi Tianzun. Luo Yan suddenly changed his attitude and said angrily. What? Rosa looked in disbelief. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar man in front of her, there was an inexplicable chill in her heart. Is this still the brother she was familiar with before? He used to be so tolerant and doting on her, and would never lose his temper with her, but now he is angry with her for the first time because of an outsider. Quickly, apologize. Luo Yan said angrily. I don't. Rosa's temper also rose and she refused to admit her mistake. How dare you? Luo Yan raised his palm and was about to slap her in anger, but was caught tightly by another big hand and could not move. Luo Wuliang looked gloomy and said coldly, Yunur, who gave you the courage to hit your sister? He is most taboo about fratricide, and Luo Yan's move is undoubtedly a big taboo. Luo Yan suddenly woke up and said incoherently, Father, I just think that my little sister did something wrong. Rosa stared blankly at the man. The tall image she had always had in her mind suddenly collapsed. Her heart felt like it was pierced by a sharp sword, and the pain was severe. Brother, I hate you. Her eyes were moist, and after shouting, she turned around and ran away. Little sister, Luo Yan's heart ached, as if he realized that he had made a big mistake, causing irreparable consequences. Even he didn't know what was wrong with him, and he suddenly lost control of his emotions, and he didn't hesitate to teach his beloved sister a lesson. Yunur, you've gone too far. How could you treat your sister like this? I'm going to coax your sister later, do you hear me? Luo Wuliang said dissatisfied. After all, his daughter is his caring little cotton-padded jacket. Although this cotton-padded jacket is a little leaky, he doesn't want to see his daughter being wronged. Yes, Your Majesty Tianzun, I've made you laugh. Luo Wuliang turned his head and said to the white-robed woman. It doesn't matter, this little princess is also a sweetheart. I actually admire her very much. Bo Chengli said with a smile. Looking in the direction Rosa was leaving, a hint of joking flashed deep in his eyes, and he sneered secretly, Smelly bitch, soon there will be no room for you in this family. Subsequently, Luo Wuliang followed the procedure and held a banquet in honor of Bo Chengli. During the banquet, he repeatedly tested the other party's secret technique, but Bo Chengli avoided the topic. This made Luo Wuliang feel very mysterious and became more and more curious. If there wasn't a ready-made example at the moment, he would definitely think that Bo Chengli was making a fool of himself and was a liar. But since his eldest son has signs of bloodline returning to his ancestors, and 1/3 of them have been transformed into the bloodline of King Shira, this proves that the other party's secret technique is reliable. Therefore, Luo Wuliang had no choice but to be patient and continue to wait. In the garden, Rosa sat on the swing, getting more and more angry as she thought about it. With a woman's keen intuition, she felt that this guy named Wanshi Tianzun was very suspicious. There was an indescribable weirdness about her that made her feel very dangerous. No, I will tell my father to stay away from this vixen. Rosa made up her mind. Little sister. A familiar voice came from behind. Looking at his sister's back, Luo Yan said with a guilty look on his face, "Little sister, what happened just now was my elder brother's fault. My elder brother apologizes to you. Please forgive me." Snort. Rosa turned her face away, obviously still feeling aggrieved. "Little sister, as long as you can forgive me, I can do anything." Luo Yan gritted his teeth and said. Rosa's eyes lit up, and she quickly jumped off the swing and came to the man. "Are you telling the truth?" Luo Yan nodded. "Okay, then go and drive away that Wanshi Tianzun. I don't want to see that stinky woman again," Rosa said directly. Unexpectedly, after Luo Yan heard these words, his normal temperament suddenly changed. As if his beloved goddess had been humiliated, he angrily raised his hands and strangled Rosa's neck, roaring angrily. "I don't allow you to insult her. Do you hear me? She is the most important person in my heart." Rosa was pinched by the neck, with a look of pain on her face, as if her neck would be broken in the next second. Looking at the suddenly unfamiliar man in front of her, her heart was no longer disappointed but filled with fear. How so? Is this still her eldest brother? To treat her so violently for the sake of an outsider? Suddenly, the furious Luo Yan's face softened, his eyes were a little confused, he couldn't believe what he had done. I'm sorry. Luo Yan's brain was like a mess, and he staggered back a few steps. Are you still my brother? Rosa's face turned pale and she sat down on the ground. The feeling of being almost strangled just now made her frightened, but what was even more frightening was the strange man in front of her. As long as he mentions Tianzun Wanshi and shows no disrespect to him, his eldest brother will change into a different person and defend her crazily, almost like a schizophrenic. This is not normal at all. Luo Yan looked painful and disappeared from the spot with a swipe. He wanted to calm down. Brother, where are you going? Rosa couldn't help shouting. For a long time, there was no response. That hateful woman must have used some evil spell to harm my eldest brother like this. I will tell my father clearly about this now, Rosa said angrily. At the banquet, Luo Wuliang raised his glass and drank, staring directly at the white-robed woman. For some reason, the more he looked at this white-robed woman, the more he liked her, and he felt quite like a bastard to a mung bean. It was as if there was an invisible magic force attracting him. Feeling Luo Wuliang's gaze becoming more and more fiery, the corners of Bo Chengli's mouth curved in a subtle way. Although she is in the Saint Ancestor realm and can control the minds of men in the Saint Ancestor realm, Luo Wuliang, the most powerful person in the Saint Ancestor realm, is not so easy to deal with. She must be patient and influence the other party subtly until the time is right before taking the final step. Get out, all to me, princess. At this moment, Rosa barged in aggressively, causing the banquet to be suspended. All the dancers and musicians stopped one after another, looking surprised. Luo Wuliang frowned. Sure, what are you doing? Why do you want to disrupt this banquet? Father, don't believe this woman, my eldest brother has been controlled by her with evil magic. Rosa shouted. Luo Wuliang's eyes darkened, and he waved his hand to signal other irrelevant people to disperse. Then all the dancers and musicians evacuated, and the originally lively hall suddenly became much deserted. Shar, what evidence do you have? Rosa was stunned by the question and hesitated to speak. She wanted to tell her eldest brother's previous performance, but she was afraid of causing him to be punished, so she didn't know how to explain it for a while. Luo Wuliang saw that this was just a willful act by his daughter. He immediately turned solemn and slapped the table angrily, yelling, "This is nonsense." For him, this Wanshi Tianzun is very important. After all, the other party also has the secret technique that he has longed for, which can help him return to his ancestors and become the legendary Shira king. If there was no definite evidence, how could he attack this person for no reason? Father, can't you follow your daughter's wishes and drive her away? My daughter begs you this time, okay. Rosa had no choice but to use her previous tricks, but unfortunately she didn't realize the seriousness of the matter. Luo Wuliang's face turned dark. If his daughter did this before, he would definitely agree, but this time it was really different. This person was very important to him. It seems that I usually indulge you too much, which makes you so coquettish and willful that you can't distinguish priorities. Luo Wuliang felt a sense of oppression on his body, and he said coldly, "Come here, take the princess down and keep her under strict guard. Don't let her out without my order." Father. Rosa was shocked. She didn't expect her father to be so protective of the woman in this matter. What is the magic power of the other party? Can this be done? Then, 2 guards came in and tried to take Rosa away by force. "Don't touch me, I can walk by myself." Rosa knew that her father was really angry, and she didn't dare to continue to resist, so she had to leave in anger. Before leaving, she turned her head and glared at the calm white-robed woman. "You wait for me, Your Excellency Tianzun, my daughter is too ignorant. She may have some misunderstandings about you. I apologize to her." Luo Wuliang suppressed his anger and looked at the white-robed woman on the other side with an apologetic tone. Bo Chengli smiled, "It's okay. She didn't take this little girl seriously at all, because she knew that she was about to become the master of this country." "Does this banquet continue?" Luo Wuliang asked tentatively. "No need, I see the intention of Patriarch Luo, and then let me personally perform the secret technique for Patriarch Luo to increase the strength of the blood." Bo Chengli said meaningfully. Luo Wuliang's heart was shocked, and there was great joy in his eyes. "That's great." Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Taboola below article feed. Placement. Below article feed. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 805. 3 months later. The Heavenly Court gradually calmed down the disturbance a while ago, and the Heavenly Court returned to its previous order. Countless powerful people thought that this was the end. This so-called Heavenly Court must be no different from the Divine Court in terms of governing the heavens and the myriad realms. After all, isn't it the same who sits on the throne? It's just a change of people. But what surprised them was that the Heavenly Court began to promulgate a complete set of laws to govern the heavens and the myriad realms. For example, the world that is still in the immortal civilization can be protected by the Heavenly Court so that it can smoothly transition to the holy civilization in the future. And the development of interstellar pirates is completely prohibited, and the trafficking of human beings and the reselling of planetary resources are prohibited. In addition, the number of affiliated planets owned by each world must be within the prescribed number to prevent the vicious phenomenon of highly concentrated resources and large-scale mergers of planets. One law after another made countless creatures in the star field dumbfounded. This is too wide. Especially those vested interests were shocked when they saw the content of the laws promulgated by the Heavenly Court, and then they were deeply dissatisfied and resisted. After all, the law of the jungle is the default rule of this universe. The powerful world can trample on the weak world at will, plunder the resources of the affiliated planets without restraint, and constantly conquer the undeveloped life planets to expand its own power. As a result, your Heavenly Court directly broke this rule. Not only do you want to protect the weak world, but you also want to redivide the territory of the big world in the starry sky. For those high-ranking big forces, the consequence is that the territory shrinks in all directions, as if it has been dismembered, and it is not as good as before. Even more tragic are the interstellar pirates who roam in many star regions. They used to like to drive interstellar battleships and specifically pick weak planets to start with. They resell the creatures and resources on this planet in batches on the black market to make a fortune and make a lot of money. However, there is a law in the Heavenly Court that is specifically aimed at them. This makes them feel incomprehensible and angry. Although many big forces have shown resistance, more small forces are applauding and strongly supporting. The reason is very simple. In the past, the order of the Divine Court realm was very chaotic. The earliest forces plundered a large amount of planetary resources and almost formed a monopoly, which made it difficult for the world to develop. In this life, they could only rely on others. Over time, a deadlock was created where the strong always became stronger and the weak became weaker. Even if you are lucky enough to have a super genius, you may be limited by the lack of resources in your own world and stop moving forward. If you go out to seek opportunities, various variables will follow. You may be suppressed by interstellar pirates and sold as slaves, or be killed by star predators and die. The best result is to be appreciated by big people and promoted all the way. In short, it is really too difficult for a small world to stand out. Relying on a powerful world can only ensure that it will not be destroyed by external forces, but the resources handed over every year are huge, and it is good enough to have enough for your own use. Basically, the ranking of the world is fixed and it is difficult to change. If you are born in a world, then your achievement limit is already determined. The Kunlun realm is a unique case in the history of the universe. After lagging behind for many years, it can still catch up and surpass the heavens and myriad worlds. If it was said before, few people would be willing to believe it. Unless conflicts break out between the major forces and a life and death struggle is staged, it is possible to reshuffle the cards and let the world below take advantage of the situation and have a chance to turn over. Otherwise, it is like a stagnant pool of water, which can't make any waves at all. Now, the Heavenly Court has formulated new rules to curb the excess resources of the major forces and ensure the vigorous development of the small forces, which has surprised and delighted the creatures of countless worlds. This means that a huge gap has been opened for them to go up, and there will be more opportunities in the future. It is even rumored that the Heavenly Court plans to help all the small worlds in the immortal civilization to transition to the holy civilization as soon as possible to ensure that the Heavenly Court realm realizes the comprehensive holy civilization. Boom! When they learned this, the starry sky was greatly shaken, and the creatures of the myriad realms were unbelievable. Even though the universe is now recognized as the Holy Tao era, there are still countless planets that remain in the immortal Tao civilization. Because most of the resources outside are monopolized, these planets can only develop slowly. In addition, these planets with the immortal Tao civilization have little say, which leads to them being ignored. Now, the Heavenly Court intends to use the excess resources to help these planets with the immortal Tao civilization gradually transition to the Holy Tao civilization. This is undoubtedly a great thing for them. This newly established Heavenly Court seems to be really different. A native of a small world side. This is more than different. It's a revolutionary change, a humanoid creature said excitedly. Yes, those high and mighty worlds have always controlled most of the resources. They obviously don't need many of them, but they still occupy them tightly. They are afraid that we will rise and threaten their status. Now that the Heavenly Court has done this, our backward small world has the opportunity to develop upward. We have no way to repay the great kindness of the Heavenly Court. It is said that it was the idea of the Lord of the Heavenly Court. He proposed a concept called the saints leading the saints. Emperor Yi Tian is really a god. We are in awe. Hot discussions arose, and public opinion filled the entire Heavenly Court. Most of the creatures agreed and supported Heavenly Court's approach, and their favorable impression of Heavenly Court surged. Only a small number of vested interests were very dissatisfied with Heavenly Court. But none of them dared to openly oppose Heavenly Court's proposition. After all, the destruction of the three worlds not long ago was still vivid in their minds. Under this situation, if anyone dares to jump out and cause trouble in heaven, it is guaranteed that the force they belong to in the world will be destroyed the next day. The majesty of the Lord of Heaven cannot be challenged by anyone. Therefore, in the next few years, the leaders of the big world could only watch helplessly as countless affiliated planets were stripped from their own territory. The key is that they did not even dare to fart, and they had to praise the heavens with a smile. Well done, Lord. As the saying goes, when a whale falls, everything comes into being. Although it cannot be said to be destroyed, most of the resources were taken away and rationally distributed, resulting in many small worlds benefiting from this and breaking through the original bottleneck. In an instant, all the creatures in the world cheered for joy, shouting that Emperor Yi Tian was wise. Statues belonging to Emperor Yi Tian have been built on many planets one after another, and they have been admired and worshipped by countless creatures for generations. At this moment, all the races in the starry sky felt from the bottom of their hearts the benefits and changes brought about by the heavenly realm. Kunlun realm. In heaven, after Lu Wangshu reported the progress during this period, he looked at Yi Junlin with a strange look. Yi Junlin was actually very surprised by the reform of the heavenly world he had implemented. After all, this was a bold idea that he had never had before, and it seemed to have opened up a whole new world for him. It turns out that you can still play like this. Although it will offend the interests of those big forces, Tianting, as the strongest top force, is not afraid of offending them at all. Even if they are tied together one day and join forces to launch a crusade against heaven, they will all be eliminated by heaven in one fell swoop. Now that heaven is doing this, it has given more opportunities for the world to develop. In time, there will definitely be a large number of geniuses. This is a virtuous circle, rather than being monopolized by big forces. The best example is that the top 10 geniuses on the previous supreme list are all from the top 10 worlds in the Divine Court. You can imagine how serious the monopoly is. Geniuses from other worlds are not qualified to be on this list. Not bad, it seems to be going well so far. Yi Junlin nodded and said with satisfaction, "We must let everyone know that our heavenly court is by no means empty talk, but is taking practical actions." "I understand this," Lu Wangshu said. "By the way, has there been any change at Juyu in the past few years?" Yi Junlin asked. With his strength, it is very simple to attack Juyu, but the Lord of Juyu and the Lord of Shenting are both hiding. It just so happens that his focus is on the heavenly court world, so he does not pay attention to the movements of Juyu world. In his impression, the most capable person in the entire Juyu realm is Luo Wuliang, the leader of the Asura clan. No, they have become very honest and don't dare to step beyond the thunder pool. Lu Wangshu said with a smile. The former 9 nether beings were all very warlike, and they loved to go deep into the divine court world to cause trouble, causing many monks no peace. However, now, like a pack of wolves whose fangs have been pulled out, they no longer dare to come over and cause trouble. After all, in terms of overall strength, Juyu realm is now weaker than Tianning realm, and it is not on the same level at all. If you dare to take the initiative to cause trouble, isn't that asking for death? The words just fell. A shouting voice sounded outside. Report to the Emperor of Heaven. According to the news from the spies, there are multiple groups of 9 netherworlds in the southern universe carrying out massacres, and the star fields wherever they go have become dead areas. Before this was over, another report sounded. Report. The northern universe was attacked by the Juyu army. Many worlds were massacred. The situation is very critical. Hear this. Lu Wangshu's face turned green, and he felt as if he had been slapped in the face. At the same time, he was shocked and angry. This Juyu was crazy. He dared to provoke heaven like this. Haha, it's interesting. We didn't bother it. Instead, it came to trouble us on its own. Yi Junline's eyes burst out with cold light, and his tone was extremely cold, with a terrifying murderous intention. Pass my order to assemble the team and go to the destination, and annihilate all the invading 9 nether creatures without leaving a trace. Yes. Lu Wangshu looked solemn and quickly went to make arrangements. When they learned what Juyu had done, the soldiers in heaven felt very angry and asked for orders to go to war. Damn it, where did Juyu get the courage? Let's just take this opportunity to kill them. Li Wuji raised his long knife and shouted excitedly. This proposal attracted the approval of many people. Nowadays, Heavenly Court has strong soldiers and strong foundations. Even the strong men from all the worlds can be mobilized at will. There is no reason why they can't fight against Juyu, whose vitality is severely damaged. Therefore, everyone felt that they might as well take this opportunity to destroy Juyu in one go, expand the territory for heaven, and completely realize the goal of unifying the universe. Thinking of the realization of this goal, everyone in the heaven is excited, feeling that the time has come to establish immortal military exploits. That's all. Under countless shocked gazes, many of the top experts in heaven came out and led a powerful team to the scene of the incident to encircle and suppress Juyu's army. The immortal man stood with his hands behind his back, his feet on the galaxy, looking at the mighty march of the heavenly team that stretched thousands of miles. He thought of Luo Wuliang who fought with him that day, and a trace of regret appeared on his old face. Hey, I really don't know what you think. After this battle, there will be no more Juyu in this world. The longevity man shook his head. Originally, the heavenly court had no time to deal with you, and they kept to themselves. But you suddenly broke the peace and insisted on starting a war. You had no choice. In Chang Shengwang's opinion, the heavenly court wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to attack the 9 netherworld in one fell swoop and achieve the goal of unifying the universe. It was unstoppable. Chang Shengwang, why don't you and I go to the 9 netherworld to settle accounts with that guy named Luo Wuliang? Empress Fuyao walked over with a powerful aura, and her phoenix eyes contained an extreme light that made it difficult to look directly at her. She really wanted to experience the power of this man who was known as the strongest in the 9 netherworld. Okay, Chang Shengwang nodded. He had nothing to retreat for. It was not like he had never fought with Luo Wuliang before. Although he could not beat him, as long as Empress Fuyao, the strongest, was added, he would have a great chance of winning. Window. _Tabula equals window. _Tabula. Push mode. Thumb speed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail. 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Chapter 806. Invincible in Heaven. Invincible in Heaven. Those evil beasts in the 9 nether realm dare to provoke us regardless of life and death. They will be destroyed by the heaven now. We will definitely win this battle. When they saw Heavenly Court counterattack with great fanfare, all the heavens and realms were boiling with excitement. Countless creatures were eager to see the historic scene of Heavenly Court marching in and finally breaking through the 9 nether realm. After all, the status of heaven is well known, and this universe logically has no opponent to check and balance it. Under such circumstances, Juyu, whose strength has plummeted, still dares to take the initiative to provoke the rising heaven. Isn't this looking for death? Almost everyone feels that Juyu cannot stop the overwhelming offensive of heaven, and the entire Juyu world will soon collapse, becoming the territory of heaven, and becoming a part of heaven world. Kunlun Realm. On the towering green mountain stands a large area of ancient Taoist temples. The three big characters of Tianji Gate were placed on the stone tablet next to the entrance of the mountain gate. The writing was full of spirit, as if it was telling the world. A group of disciples were busy going about their business. There was a man with a bun in a bun, a simple Taoist robe, and a tall and thin man as tall as a bamboo pole. He stretched out his hand to gently twist his mustache and stood on the steps with emotion. After years of hard work, I finally have a foundation. Recalling the sadness and twists and turns at the beginning, he couldn't help but feel the urge to cry. If Yi Junlin saw him, he would vaguely remember that this person was Tianjizi, who said that he had a bloody disaster in the immortal world. After migrating to the Kunlun realm, Tianjizi showed off his talents and told fortunes everywhere, because he was indeed relatively accurate and established a good reputation. From setting up a street stall to being a guest of the powerful, Tianjizi successfully built a reputation and earned a lot of money. Bowls full. When the time came, he chose a geomantic treasure land to establish the Tianji Gate. There was an endless stream of distinguished guests coming here to tell fortunes and divination. Over time, he recruited many disciples, expanded the scale, and made it impressive. Master, I heard from people outside that heaven has declared war on Juyu. Everyone is saying that they will win this time. A little girl, with flushed face, ran over and shouted excitedly. She is wearing a Taoist priest's robe, has fair skin, big eyes that are pure and bright, and full of aura. Don't you know how to calculate whether you win or not? All the things I taught you were in vain. Tianjizi pinched her little face like a meat bun and said angrily. This is the new female disciple he recruited last year. She is talented and intelligent, and has a particularly tough destiny. She is Tianjizi's favorite and most promising disciple. In his line of work, it's one thing to be accurate or not, but one thing is very important, and that is to be lucky. If your life is not strong enough, it will be counterattacked and you will die quickly. This is also the reason why Tianjiman declined that year, because this lineage has basically become cold, leaving Tianjizi to go out alone. Therefore, Tianjizi is very satisfied with this female doll and intends to cultivate her as his successor. Oh, people outside say that Heavenly Court can win, why bother? Xiaotuanzi took 2 steps back in pain and said angrily, also, you pinched me so much. Tianjizi shook his head and said, every secret will eventually be broken. Don't be too absolute, we still have to calculate. Master will always make lies. Anyway, I think Heavenly Court will definitely win. Xiaotuanzi waved his fists a few times and said expectantly, by then, those bad guys in Juyu will be dead. A helpless smile appeared on Tianjizi's lips. After all, the outside world believed that Tianting would win. This was a kind of trust in Tianting's strength. Even he himself believed in his heart that heaven would win, and he was just teaching his disciples. Out of professionalism, Tianjizi still made a fortune for this battle. He thought he was a sure winner, but the expression on his face gradually solidified, and his eyes revealed a look of disbelief. He murmured, how is it possible? How is it possible? Tianjizi was afraid that he had made a mistake in his calculations, so he repeated the calculations dozens of times. In the end, he couldn't bear it and spit out a mouthful of blood. His hair turned gray, his face suddenly looked older, and his body's vitality was severely damaged. Master, Xiaotuanzi was frightened and quickly supported the swaying Tianjizi, his face full of fear and anxiety. She didn't know why the master would become like this. Master. The nearby disciples heard the commotion and gathered around to check the situation. They were shocked when they saw Tianjizi's face was pale and he looked much older. Tianjizi didn't care about his physical condition, but as if he had lost his soul, he murmured, they are all dead, they are all dead. Who is dead? Everyone was confused. Tianjizi's heart was trembling. He had just seen scenes from the future. In the scenes, the entire army of heaven was annihilated, and all the familiar strong men died in battle, including Empress Fuyao and Cheng Shengwang, the 2 top masters. He died in the battle against Juyu. The cause of this tragic phenomenon is an extremely terrifying tall figure. His strength is so terrifying that no one can be his opponent. The strangest thing is that Tianjizi seemed to see a vague white-robed woman sitting on a throne. Even the terrifying monster in front of him had to obey her orders and follow her lead. It's so miserable, it's so miserable. No one who entered the 9 nether realms survived. Tianjizi repeated the deduction dozens of times, and all the results were this. Quickly, Help me go to the heavenly court to see the Emperor of Heaven. I'm in such a hurry. Heaven, good news comes frequently, the situation is great. It is all about how the heavenly court army defeated the enemy, and now it is advancing towards the 9 netherworld with great momentum. Many heavenly officials are smiling and happy, looking forward to the news that the heavenly court army has captured the 9 netherworld. By then, the entire universe will only have the heavenly court, and the goal of great unification will be truly achieved. This glorious feat is enough to be recorded in the annals of history, remembered and praised by countless creatures. Suddenly, there was a noisy sound outside the South Heaven Gate. Let me in, I want to see the Emperor of Heaven. I have something big to say to him. Tianjisi shouted anxiously, please be flexible. More than a dozen heavenly soldiers stopped him outside, glaring, and scolded, you don't have the permission of the Emperor of Heaven, you are not qualified to see him at all. If everyone wants to see the Emperor of Heaven like you, what will happen? Go away, don't make trouble here. If you don't leave, don't blame us for killing you on the spot as a trespasser. Hearing this, Tianjisi was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood, and his chest ached. Why are you like this? My master is also kind-hearted. Little Tuanzi was so angry that he cried. He didn't expect that he would be treated like this after coming all the way here. Seeing this lovely girl, a heavenly soldier softened his tone and said earnestly, little girl, it's not that we don't let you in, it's that we don't have the power. We are also doing things impartially. Please don't make things difficult for us. Everyone, it's urgent, just let me in once. Tianjisi begged bitterly. Seeing these heavenly soldiers with cold faces and unmoved, Tianjisi knew that there was no hope of entering, and sighed to the sky. Alas, it's time and fate, I also tried my best. Just as he was dejected and turned to leave, a surprised voice sounded behind him. Wait, I seem to know you. Tianjisi turned his head suddenly and saw a tall young man with a slender figure, wearing silver armor and a sword on his waist walking out of the south gate of heaven. The young man was handsome and heroic, with a sharp look like a knife. He looked at Tianjisi carefully, with a bit of doubt on his face, as if he was still confirming his identity. Hello, General Fengli. The heavenly soldiers were shocked and quickly bowed. You are. Tianjisi felt that this person looked familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere a long time ago. But he just couldn't remember who he was. After all, he had received too many distinguished guests in the past 10,000 years, so it was normal that he couldn't remember for a while. Are you Tianjisi? The young man wanted to confirm. Yes, I am Tianjisi. Absolutely genuine, Tianjisi replied quickly, and took out a token to prove his identity from his arms. It's really you. The young man saw that Tianjisi looked a little old and listless, and was very surprised by the change in the other party. Excuse me, who are you? Tianjisi asked tentatively. Have you forgotten? I'm Han Xing. Chapter 807. Han Xing. Tianjisi was stunned, and then he took a few steps back as if he was electrocuted. He stared at the young man in disbelief, as if a mortal had seen a ghost, and said in a trembling voice, yes, it's you. This young man once left a big shadow on him, and he still sheds tears when he thinks about it. Who is Han Xing? The young master of the Han family in the immortal world. His father was the Wind and Thunder Sword Emperor. I still remember that Han Xing was a sensual playboy. Because he had a special liking for dog meat, he set his sights on the Tengu clan. At that time, he tried every means to find the hiding place of the Tengu clan in order to get rid of it. Tianjisi happened to sneak out of the local area. Due to his reputation, he was recommended by the Han family's housekeeper to deduce the exact location of the Tengu clan's ancestral land for Han Xing. Later, Han Xing led a group of family monks to their destination. However, they encountered Yi Junlin, who tried to protect the Tengu clan. A conflict broke out between the two sides. Han Xing's father, Fengli Sword Emperor, arrived and started a fierce battle with Yi Junlin. Yi Junlin was defeated by Yi Junlin with only 2 fingers. Defeat. Fengli Sword Emperor apologized in person, and then took Han Xing back and punished him severely. Because the Han family had lost face in this matter, the top management of the Han family agreed that this matter was closely related to Tianjisi, so they issued a high-level warning to Tianjisi. There is a huge reward to capture him and vent his anger. Poor Tianjisi didn't even get the final payment, and almost risked his own life. Forced by the threats from the Han family, he had no choice but to pack up and continue running away, suffering all the way and feeling extremely sad. Even though he is now successful and has both fame and fortune, when he thinks about this incident, Tianjisi is so angry that he wants to curse. He feels that he was extremely unlucky at that time, meeting an evil star like Han Xing. However, Tianjizi never expected to meet Han Xing here. At this time, Han Xing is no longer the arrogant and domineering playboy of the past. He wears a long sword on his waist and wears the armor of a heavenly warrior. He is majestic and inviolable, which is enough to make the young people feel sad, be terrified. Seeing Tianjizi's horrified expression, Han Xing smiled bitterly. There's no need for such a big reaction, right? After all, it's been so long since that incident. Tianjizi reacted from the shock, looked a little embarrassed, and said without confidence, well, I didn't mean anything else, I just didn't expect to meet you here. Hey, it's a long story. It was heaven that gave me a second life. I will continue to walk with my father's last wish. When Han Xing mentioned his late father, he couldn't help but feel a pain in his heart and spoke in a low voice, Road. At that time, the immortal realm was weak, and a group of semi-saints from outside the realm were doing evil in the immortal realm. One of them broke into the Han family's territory and looted wantonly. In anger, his father Han Chujian clashed with that group of people and was eventually killed. Died violently. After witnessing his father's tragic death, Han Xing's temperament completely changed. The second-generation immortal who was fond of leisure and indolence was gone forever. He became extremely hardworking, like a cultivator incarnate, practicing day after day. The sword's own potential was also stimulated, and he made rapid progress in the way of the sword. Later, he perfectly inherited his father's mantle, and his swordsmanship with wind and thunder was so superb that he was even better than his master. Later, Han Xing chose to join the heavenly court. Because of his superb swordsmanship and superior strength, he quickly stood out from a group of heavenly soldiers and became a heavenly general, named Fengli, and was known as General Fengli. This is Han Xing's ups and downs experience. From a second-generation immortal who was greedy for enjoyment and idle, after witnessing the tragic death of his father, he worked hard to become a heavenly warrior respected by thousands of people. His life is inspiring enough. Hear the words. Tianjizi was in a complicated mood, knowing that Han Xing's journey was not easy. When he met his old friend again, he couldn't help but sigh at the wonder of fate. After wandering around, we unexpectedly meet here. The heavenly soldiers were surprised that the famous General Fengli would actually know this guy who wanted to break into the heaven. Xiao Tuanzi looked surprised. He didn't expect the master to have such a relationship. By the way, I heard the voice just now. It seems that you want to meet the Emperor of Heaven. Is there anything important? Han Xing returned to the topic and asked seriously. Not everyone can see the Emperor of Heaven. Without permission, according to regulations, you cannot enter. Yes, I want to meet the Emperor of Heaven. This matter is related to the rise and fall of Heavenly Court, and will involve the lives of many people. The life and death of Heavenly Court depends on this thought. Tianjizi shouted excitedly. Everyone's expressions changed, and they were shocked by Tianjizi's remarks. Bold, all the heavenly soldiers said in shock and anger. If Han Xing hadn't been there, based on Chang Tianjizi's words, they would have had the right to arrest him and throw him into a prison where he would be severely tortured. Now that heaven is flourishing and prosperous, how can it possibly perish? This is purely nonsense. Han Xing frowned. He knew Tianjizi very well and knew that the other party was definitely not here to please others. He must have known something in advance. I think back then, even the hiding place of the Tengu clan could be accurately calculated, which shows their ability. Fellow Taoist, please don't get excited. Can you be more specific? Tianjizi forced himself to calm down and gritted his teeth and said, the army of heaven cannot go deep into the Nine Nether Realm. Everyone sent out will eventually die there. What? Han Xing and the others were shocked and in disbelief. This statement is too shocking. You must know that the army sent out by the heavenly court this time can be said to be an elite one. The people responsible for taking the lead are a group of top experts, including the disciples of the Emperor of Heaven, and the two top masters, Empress Fuyao and Changsheng Wang. Such a luxurious lineup is enough to sweep through any force in the world. How could it be possible for the entire army to be annihilated against a Juyu who was not as good as before? Fortune teller, what are you talking about? Our team has already defeated Juyu's army and plans to invade the Juyu world and completely eradicate Juyu. This is an undoubted victory. The heavenly soldiers retorted emotionally. No one would believe that heaven would suffer a disastrous defeat. Everyone from top to bottom believed that this was a must-win war. Han Xing remained silent, struggling in his heart. Hey, those are all traps. Juyu deliberately lured the enemy in. Tianjizi said. He is deceiving everyone with his evil words, arrest him. The soldiers couldn't stand listening anymore, and swarmed up to take Tianjizi to the cell. Don't arrest my master is a good man. Xiao Tuanzi hugged Tianjizi's thigh, frightened by the battle, and cried. Stop. At the critical moment, Han Xing shouted to drive away the heavenly soldiers. He walked up to Tianjizi and said in a deep voice, I will take you to meet the Emperor of Heaven. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. General Fengli, do you really believe it? Yu Tianbing couldn't understand. Shut up. Anyway, the responsibility is mine alone, it has nothing to do with you. Han Xing put down these words forcefully and personally led Tianjizi and the others into Nantianmen. All the heavenly soldiers looked at each other in astonishment. Slightly. The little dumpling did not forget to turn his head and make faces at the heavenly soldiers. Walking on the broad road in heaven, looking at the tall and straight back in front of him, Tianjizi couldn't help but feel emotional. The person who caused him misery back then actually did him a big favor now. Just thinking about it makes me feel dreamy. Xiao Tuanzi held Tianjizi's hand and bounced along the way. His innocent and bright eyes looked around curiously. She actually came to the legendary heaven and met the Supreme Lord of Heaven. After I went back, I was able to brag with my friends for a while. Arriving at the majestic temple of Heavenly Emperor, Han Xing asked someone to go in and make an announcement, and then said seriously to Tianjizi, I can only help you so far, the rest is up to you. I hope everything you said is true. Tianjizi raised his hands and said solemnly, Brother Han, thank you for your help. It's a piece of cake. Besides, I'm a member of the heavenly family. Naturally, I don't want the heavenly family to become what you said. Han Xing said with a bitter smile. Under normal circumstances, no one is willing to take this responsibility. After all, if the person in power becomes angry, he will be implicated, but Han Xing trusts Tianjizi's ability, so he is willing to take a gamble. After trying hard to adjust his condition, Tianjizi led Xiao Tuanzi in. At this time, on the throne, Yi Junlin looked at the Taoist-robed man in front of him with a strange look in his eyes, who was somewhat familiar but could not remember who he was. In the impression, it seems that I have seen it somewhere. My dear, Tianjizi, I have met the Emperor of Heaven. Tianjizi bowed and saluted with a very respectful attitude. Tianjizi, sounds a bit familiar. Yi Junlin rubbed his chin, frowning and thinking. When I was in the immortal world, I gave you a divination. Tianjizi recalled helpfully. Oh, I remember, you said that I had a bloody disaster. Yi Junlin suddenly said with a strange expression. Details can be found at the end of chapter 440. Tianjizi looked embarrassed. Yes. He thought that Yi Junlin was in danger at that time, but in the end, the danger turned into disaster. Later, Yi Junlin became famous in the first battle. He imitated Yi Junlin's image and set up a stall to tell fortunes. He was chased and beaten by a bunch of idiot fans on the street. It was very embarrassing. Miserable. At that time, Tianjizi never imagined that this silver-haired young man would one day reach this point, rule the world and create a new era. Chapter 808. I heard that you have something important to report about the fate of heaven. Tell me. Yi Junlin didn't bother to study the matter in detail and went straight to the topic. That's it. Tianjizi told Yi Junlin the results of his deduction and the predicted future. Yi Junlin's expression changed and he stared at Tianjizi. Are you sure the result you deduced is correct? The air suddenly solidified as if it was about to turn into ice, and a strong sense of oppression enveloped Tianjizi. Tianjizi's mind went blank, and he knelt down. After a brief moment of fear, he gritted his teeth and said, to be honest, except for the miscalculation I gave you, everything else was right. If you don't intervene, let things happen. If it continues to develop, everything will be as I said. I am willing to block the reputation and future of Tianjiman and ask the Emperor of Heaven to believe in me once. Tianjizi grabbed the ground with his head, showing great determination. The hall was quiet. Yi Junlin's eyes kept changing. To be honest, he still didn't quite believe that the heavenly army would be completely annihilated in the Nine Nether Realm. There are so many top experts, including his most proud disciple, Empress Fuyao and Cheng Shengwang. It can be said that the top leaders almost all came out to defeat Juyu in one fell swoop. How could such a luxurious lineup fail completely? Yi Junlin felt puzzled and deeply doubtful. Ding! Congratulations to the host for triggering a new sign-in task, going to the Nine Netherworld to sign in, and being rewarded with the Great Holy Body. Close black lens bracket. The system prompt sounds. Yi Junlin looked stunned and made a decision in his heart. Anyway, it's not a waste to go once, and you can get rewards. If it's true as Tianjizi said, his trip is definitely worth it. How many lives can he save? Okay, I'll believe you for now. Hearing the voice coming from above his head, Tianjizi raised his head in surprise. Thank you, Emperor Tian, for your trust. Well, if it's true, then I'll remember you for your great contribution. Yi Junlin said. Tianjizi said quickly, please ask the emperor to withdraw the army quickly. It may still be too late. His idea was that as long as he didn't fall into the trap, the heavenly army would be safe and sound. As a result, Yi Junlin said, withdraw. Why withdraw? Since it is as dangerous as you said, then I should go there myself. This. Tianjizi was stunned. This logic is a bit strange. But then I thought about it, this was due to my absolute confidence in my own strength. Gone. Yi Junlin's figure flashed and disappeared from the throne. When he appeared again, he was already in the vast starry sky. In the main hall, only then did Xiaotuanzi dare to say anything. He pulled Tianjizi's sleeve and said, Master, Master, the Emperor of Heaven will win, right? Tianjizi gritted his teeth, closed his eyes and continued to calculate with his fingers. There was a drop of sweat on his forehead and his eyelids were trembling. After a long time, he opened his eyes, which showed a bit of confusion, and murmured. Why can't I see the results this time? It was as if there was an invisible big hand covering his eyes that wanted to peek into the future. Tianjizi realized that because of his actions, the originally determined destiny had undergone an unpredictable change. At the same time, the heavenly army swallowed thousands of miles and marched towards the Nine Nether Realm in a mighty manner. The morale of each legion was high and their momentum was invincible. There are many familiar faces taking the lead, such as Empress Fuyao, Chong Shengwang, Hong Chenyi, Li Wuji, Li Ruotong, Bu Qinfen, Tong Wudi, Yin Emperor, Lu Emperor, Long Aotian, Qinglian Sword Immortal and so on. This is why Yi Junlin previously believed that the battle in heaven would not be lost. With this kind of lineup, besides him, who else under the saint of creation has the strength to contend? To clean up a declining Juyu, isn't it just a matter of holding it in hand? At this time, the heavenly army marched forward with great momentum, and the Juyu army responsible for blocking them along the way were defeated one after another, leaving no resistance at all. The Juyu realm trembled, and countless creatures felt that a disaster was coming. It's over, it's all over now. Why did Patriarch Luo order the invasion of the heavenly realm? As a result, we were wildly retaliated by the heavenly realm. I think heavenly court is determined to destroy me, Juyu, this time. Great Lord of Nine Netherworlds, please help us, your people are being slaughtered. Cries of pain, cries of grief, and begging for mercy are heard one after another in the Nine Nether Realm. The creatures on countless planets are terrified. It feels like this is the biggest crisis in the history of the Nine Nether Realm. To know, all the tribes in Juyu have always been brave and good at fighting, especially the 10 strongest tribes, which have their own racial talents. They have always been a nightmare for the monks in the Divine Court world. They have always been the only ones to take the initiative and go deep into the Shenting realm to cause trouble. Very few Shenting monks dare to invade the Juyu realm. Unexpectedly, everything changed after heaven appeared. Now, facing the unstoppable heavenly army, Juyu realm is facing its darkest moment. Kill The vast shouts of killing resounded through the starry sky and spread throughout the Juyu realm, scaring many Juyu creatures to numbskulls and despair. Destroy the undead vampires first. I used to be the most unhappy with these beasts. Li Wuji raised his long knife and shouted excitedly. Go on, hit their lair. Hong Chenyi said in a cold tone. Immediately, the two led a team to attack the Blood Source world. The Blood Origin realm is the ancestral planet of the undead vampire clan. Ever since the death of the clan leader, Blood Nightmare, and a group of senior officials in the Kunlun realm, there has been violent turmoil within the undead vampire clan. The major tribes have been engaged in internal fighting for a long time. The overall strength has declined rapidly, and there has been a gap in the top combat power. Not to mention the Holy King, even the ancient saints are now qualified to compete for the position of Patriarch. You know, this seat used to be occupied by a strong person in the Saint Ancestor realm. One can imagine how serious the decline of the undead vampires is. Facing the intrusions from the two great saint ancestors, Hong Chenyi and Li Wuji, no one in the immortal vampire tribe could resist. The current clan leader is an ancient saint-level strongman. He used to be a senior general of a certain army of the undead vampire clan. He never dreamed that he would become the clan leader one day, but he never thought that he would have to do it before his butt was hot. It's over. Spare your life, we are willing to surrender. Seeing the two figures with terrifying auras in the sky, the current patriarch was so frightened that he fell to his knees and begged for mercy. Die. Without saying a word, Hong Chenny raised her hand and clapped her hand. The other party and all the elders present were burned to ashes by the holy flame and turned into nothing. Although the self-healing ability of the undead vampires is very strong, their cultivation levels are so different that it doesn't work at all. Hong Chenny killed them as easily as killing ants. Leave no one alive, kill them all. Li Wuji shouted violently, slashing with all his strength with his sword. The unparalleled sword energy stirred up the world, like a vast hurricane sweeping wildly. The undead vampires along the way were unable to escape, and they were all strangled by this violent sword energy, and their bodies dissipated in the air. Ah! Wails filled the place. The entire bloodborne realm was completely reduced to a slaughterhouse. No matter men, women, old or young, they were all slaughtered by the incoming heavenly army without mercy. One tribe after another suffered catastrophe and was eradicated. The undead vampires also didn't expect that the two-legged sheep, which they had always regarded as blood food, would actually come to kill them one day and kill them all. Chapter 809. People in all parts of the Nine Netherworld were in panic and extremely afraid of the heavenly court. In despair, many creatures either prayed for the Lord of the Nine Netherworld to appear, or scolded Luo Wuliang for sending troops to the heavenly court without permission, which brought such a disaster. Shira realm. In the palace, a naked woman with a curvy figure slowly got out of bed, her snow-white jade feet stepped on the cold floor, and a subtle arc appeared at the corner of her mouth. Her seductive body exuded a powerful breath fluctuation, and her cultivation had reached the perfection of the Saint Ancestor realm. The next second, a bright light emerged, and an exquisite white robe appeared on her body, covering her beautiful body tightly. And on the bed behind, a strong, tall and mighty middle-aged man lifted the curtain and walked out. He looked at the woman in white robes, his eyes revealing undisguised obsession and passion. Thank you for the blessing from His Excellency Tianzun. Luo feels full of strength, and the blood in his body has completely transformed to the first-generation level. At first, Luo Wuliang resisted this method, but after trying it, he couldn't stop. The Shira blood in his body also gradually transformed to the first generation, and finally today his blood strength has completely reached the first-generation level. Now Luo Wuliang has become the second Shira king in the history of the Asura clan. Now, for this happy Tianzun, Luo Wuliang has a feeling of love for her over time, and he has a deep attachment and love for her in his heart. The white-robed woman turned around with a chuckle, and her fingers gently stroked the other's hard chest. Feeling the oncoming hormones, her soft and charming face showed a touch of aftertaste, and said with satisfaction, "You are much better than your son." This is what Bo Chengli said in his heart. She had strengthened Luo Yan before, but the other party's potential was limited. In the end, only one-third of his blood transformed into the level of Shira King, which was at most a semi-defective product. But Luo Wuliang, his father, is different. He is worthy of being known as the strongest man in the Nine Netherworld, and there is a lot of room for development. After her unremitting efforts, Luo Wuliang's Shira bloodline has been developed to the extreme, which can be said to be a perfect product. Of course, in return, Bo Chengli's own cultivation has also been improved. Even a strong man of Luo Wuliang's level can be controlled tightly, making him unable to stop and sink into it. Recognized by the white-robed woman, Luo Wuliang proudly straightened his chest. Thank you for the compliment. Luo is indeed quite accomplished in that aspect. Okay, hurry up and meet the enemy. I asked you to send troops to the Heavenly Court realm in order to lure the enemy deep into the Heavenly Court and catch them all in one fell swoop. Bo Chengli ordered with a cold tone. Don't worry, Your Excellency Tianzun, I will definitely live up to your trust. Luo Wuliang's eyes burst into a brilliant light and said in a deep voice. Even he didn't realize that he and Bo Chengli used to cooperate on an equal footing, but now they have become superiors and subordinates. As long as it was Bo Chengli's order, he would obey unconditionally, and he would fight wherever he was told, and he was very obedient. Boom! Just as the Heavenly Court army was about to capture the Nine Netherworld, a terrifying and shocking aura erupted from the Shira world, spreading across countless vast galaxies, and the sun, moon, and stars were all trembling fiercely. What's going on? The Heavenly Court army was silent. Countless shocked eyes were cast at the source of the aura. A tall and domineering man walked out of the Shira world, his whole body covered in dark golden Shira armor, holding a mighty Fang Tianhua Ji, and the surrounding space was trembling, rippling circles of ripples. You ants, today is your burial place. The majestic and deep loud voice sounded in the Nine Netherworld with a domineering aura, and everyone in the Heavenly Court was shocked, and their blood and chi surged. It's Luo Wuliang. The Empress Fuyao and the others looked terrified, gathered together, and confronted the terrifying figure like a demon god from a distance. Wait, his strength seems to have become stronger again. Chang Shengwang, who had fought with Luo Wuliang before, noticed this, and his old face was filled with solemnity. What are you afraid of? With so many of us dealing with him alone, I don't believe we can take him down. Li Wuji went into a state of madness, his eyes were bloodshot, and the long sword in his hand was boiling with murderous aura, as if there were dead souls roaring. Although Luo Wuliang's aura was very strong, everyone was still very confident. Gathering everyone's strength, can't we deal with him? On the other side, a woman in a white robe leaned against the throne of the void, crossed her legs, with a strand of black hair wrapped around her fingers, looking at the starry battlefield with sparkling eyes, and a playful smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, as if she was ready to watch a wonderful show. Below her, densely packed Asura warriors were ready to go, holding weapons one by one, with eyes as sharp as blades, and the whole was filled with a vast killing aura. The leader of the army was the eldest prince Luo Yan. Luo Yan looked at his father's figure, then turned his head to look at the white-robed woman on the throne, his eyes revealing a complex meaning. In the past few years, his beloved woman has been very cold to him, but has been particularly concerned about and close to his father. Although he had expected this result, Luo Yan still felt bad. Perhaps as long as I perform well enough in this battle, I can win the favor of Wanshi Tianzun again. Luo Yan thought so, and his fists clenched immediately, with a touch of determination in his eyes. At the same time, Luo Wuliang took the lead in attacking. He swung the Fang Tianhua Ji in his hand vigorously, and the rumbling sound resounded in all directions. The momentum was very amazing, as if it could split the entire universe. Hurry up and block it. Empress Fuyao's expression changed dramatically, she made a hand seal with her hands and fired the light of reincarnation. Everyone was shocked and quickly tried their best to resist. Boom boom boom. The vast sea of stars in the middle was directly exploded, and billions of planets were turned into fly ash in the aftermath, which was as spectacular as the Big Bang of the universe. Empress Fuyao and Cheng Shengwang showed pain on their faces, blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, and their eyes were full of disbelief. The others were even more overwhelmed and vomited blood, looking at Luo Wuliang's horrified expression. The Juyu realm was deathly silent. At this moment, a terrifying figure like a god and demon stood on the top of the starry sky holding Fang Tian's painted halberd. His unparalleled aura disrupted the starry sky and shocked the world. Just now, Luo Wuliang used his own strength to forcefully injure the powerful men in heaven. The Shira world is boiling. Countless tribesmen looked fanatical and shouted excitedly for King Shira, and the mountain cries were endless. Okay, so strong. Hong Chenny gritted her teeth, her figure swaying, and there was a torn wound in her belly that was constantly oozing blood. He couldn't believe that the other party was so powerful. If everyone hadn't resisted together, he would have died from the blow just now. It's so terrifying. The big mushroom king who stayed behind the heavenly court was shocked and quickly activated the Qing Emperor's secret of immortality to heal everyone's injuries. The rain of life. Wow! A burst of cyan light rain fell from above, containing a strong breath of life. The pattering raindrops penetrated into the bodies of Empress Fuyao and the others, causing serious injuries to heal quickly. Fortunately, the fourth junior brother is here, otherwise the situation would be worse. Li Wuji felt his body improve, and his blood-red eyes flashed with throbbing. Just in case, King Mushroom also followed the heavenly army to attack the Nine Nether Realm, but he did not take part in the killing. This was his principle, but as long as someone was injured, he would lend a helping hand. Be careful. If that doesn't work, my suggestion is to withdraw. Sweat dripped from Big Mushroom King's forehead. It was obvious that the group treatment just now was not easy for him. Luo Wuliang's eyes were fierce and he sneered, "Want to escape? You don't have this chance." He promised Tianzun Wanshi to annihilate this heavenly army in one fell swoop, how could he let it go? In everyone's field of vision, the terrifying figure like a god and demon moved, and the Fangtian painted halberd in his hand stabbed straight away, exploding with unparalleled lethality. His target is the big mushroom king at the very back of the heaven. Luo Wuliang thinks that as long as this person is eliminated, the rest will be much easier. Don't even think about it. Empress Fuyao realized the seriousness of the problem and flew to stop her in anger. She brazenly unleashed her most powerful killing move, the great technique of annihilation. Kill. Chang Shengwang and the others launched an attack without hesitation, each using their strongest moves to press the bottom of the box, which was bound to cause a devastating blow to Luo Wuliang. Boom! The starry sky seemed to be upside down, and the sun and moon were extinguished. The power that Empress Fuyao and others exploded was very strong. If it were Luo Wuliang from before, it would be absolutely difficult to withstand this kind of attack and he would be seriously injured. However, with his bloodline power reaching the level of King Shira, he is no longer afraid of attacks of this level. Literally, it's like scratching an itch. Get out of here. A loud shout was like billions of thunders exploding from the sky. All the powerful men in the heaven were knocked away one after another, blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, and a feeling of powerlessness and despair emerged in their hearts. This is simply an out-and-out monster. It's over. Big Mushroom King's scalp was numb and his whole body was cold. Fang Tian's painted halberd in his eyes was rapidly approaching. For a moment, he could do nothing but wait for death. You annoying thing, die! Luo Wuliang said with a ferocious smile. Just at the critical moment, his daughter's voice suddenly sounded, with an anxious tone, "Father, stop it." The Fang Tian painted halberd in Luo Wuliang's hand stopped, only 5 steps away from the Big Mushroom King. Seizing this opening, the Big Mushroom King quickly pulled away and retreated, feeling frightened for a while. In the starry sky, a little loli with a height of 1.5 meters and pink twin tails appeared out of nowhere. What is shocking is that her belly is as big as that of a pregnant woman. Anyone who looks at it will feel guilty. This is the princess of the Asura tribe, Rosa. Many monks who knew this woman exclaimed. Rosa, a super prodigy with dual cultivation of talisman array, he is the apple of the eye of the leader of the Asura tribe. Rumor has it that she is eccentric, has a delicate personality, and is a very difficult master to serve. But no one expected that Rosa would stop her father Luo Wuliang at the critical moment. What's going on? Is this woman helping us? Hong Chenyi asked with a surprised look. If Rosa had not come forward in time, his 4th junior brother would have been dead by now. The question is, why would the other party do this? Aren't she and her father on the same side? At this time, Rosa's eyes were red, big tears rolled down her face, and she shouted to Luo Wuliang in the distance. Father, stop, this war is completely avoidable, we were all deceived by that woman. Chapter 810. As soon as these words came out, the Juyu realm became quiet. Countless creatures showed puzzled expressions. Who is the woman Princess Rosa mentioned? Wasn't this war planned and launched by Luo Wuliang? On the throne, the white-robed woman's face was as cold as frost, and her beautiful eyes contained a murderous intent. She stared at Rosa's figure, wishing to cut her into pieces with 1,000 knives, peeling off her skin and cramping her muscles. When Rosa was ordered to be imprisoned, and she was busy conquering Luo Wuliang, she had no time to care about Rosa, a little bitch. Over time, she ignored the threat of the other party. Unexpectedly, at this juncture, Rosa actually sneaked out behind her back and tried to stop her plan. In response to this, Bo Chengli was almost furious, and the anger in his heart was burning. Little sister. Luo Yan was shocked and was very surprised by this turn of events. Starry sky. Luo Wuliang's ferocious expression froze on his face, his eyes gradually returned to clarity, and he murmured. Shar, you. He was shocked by what his daughter did. At the same time, his daughter's appearance also allowed him to get rid of Bo Chengli's mental control for a while. Father, that woman is the culprit. She controlled my eldest brother, and now she controls you. Our family is torn apart because of her. She also used you to launch a war against the heavenly world, just to satisfy her selfish desires. Wake up, we can't make any more mistakes. Rosa said hoarsely. She desperately wanted Luo Wuliang to make changes and get rid of the control of Wanshi Tianzun. Luo Wuliang, I want you to kill her. Bo Chengli couldn't bear it anymore and gave Luo Wuliang an order. Okay. Luo Wuliang raised Fang Tian's painted halberd, instinctively wanting to obey Bo Chengli's words. But when his eyes came into contact with his daughter's face full of tears, his brain felt like being pricked by needles, and a sense of resistance spread in his heart, making it difficult for him to kill her. No, I can't, she is my baby girl. Luo Wuliang had a painful expression and seemed to be struggling. At least Luo Wuliang can still maintain a trace of sanity when facing his loved ones. Damn it, it's not thorough enough. Seeing this scene, Bo Chengli looked very ugly. His eyes fell on Luo Yan and he said coldly, Luo Yan, your sister has offended me. Go and kill her quickly. If you can't do that, don't come to see me. For this guy, Bo Chengli still felt that he had complete control over him. Hear the words. Luo Yan's body was shaken, his breathing was rapid, his eyes were bloodshot, his expression was as if he was possessed, and he kept repeating. My sister dared to offend Tianzun, unforgivable, unforgivable. Immediately, in front of everyone's shocked eyes, Luo Yan burst out with a terrifying momentum, and a cold and heavy spur appeared in his hand. The spur appeared dark red, and its aura was very frightening. Aha! Luo Yan rushed towards the starry sky with a big halberd in his hand. His expression was extremely crazy, and he shouted like a madman, "Kill you, as long as I kill you, the Heavenly Lord will favor me again." Brother. Rosa shed tears as she watched her eldest brother deliver a fatal blow to her. The brother who had always doted on her had become extremely strange at this moment. Just then, the euphorbia was grabbed by a hand that appeared out of nowhere, making it difficult to move at all. The owner of the palm is a handsome young man dressed in white. His whole body is shining, his hair is full of silver hair, and he has an otherworldly aura. I seem to have arrived at just the right time. Yi Junline's eyes were steady and he scanned the whole place. Master, Emperor of Heaven, fellow Taoist Yi. Different titles were heard, and the heavenly army was boiling. Empress Fuyao's eyes lit up. If this man took action, he might really be able to defeat Luo Wuliang. Yes, it's you. Rosa was stunned for a moment and exclaimed. Yi Junline looked her up and down with a playful smile. Big-bellied woman, long time no see. The word, big-bellied woman, hit Rosa's sore spot so hard that she burst into tears with anger and wanted to rush over to scratch and bite Yi Junline. How dare you say that? It's all your fault, Rosa said sadly and indignantly with her big belly. Hear this. Everyone seemed to think of something, and their eyes were filled with surprise. Damn it, could it be that Princess Rosa's belly was enlarged by the Lord of Heaven? If the situation is true, it would be explosive news. Feeling many strange looks coming from him, Yi Junline suddenly felt guilty. After all, he was indeed the cause of her belly. Emperor Yi Tian, it's you. Luo Yan looked startled, then roared angrily. This is the opponent he wants to defeat the most. The other party almost turned into his inner demon, leaving an indelible psychological shadow on him. Now, seeing Yi Junline again, Luo Yan was shocked and angry, and immediately targeted him. I remember you, you were the guy who ran away. Yi Junline thought for a while and blurted out. I still remember that Luo Yan implemented a plan to destroy the world in Kunlun realm. As a result, Yi Junline came all the way to kill him. Seeing that the Juyu sword master and the leader of the Hell clan died in his hands, Luo Yan was too frightened to fight and fled. At this time, the scars of past humiliation were uncovered, and the anger in Luo Yan's chest swept through him, as if it was about to burn his whole body. Ah, I'll kill you. The halberd in Luo Yan's hand shook, bursting out with violent energy fluctuations, and was about to stab Yi Junline's chest. It must be said that Luo Yan is much stronger than before. After all, 1/3 of his blood has transformed into the Shira King. Although his cultivation is in the middle stage of the Saint Ancestor realm and he has mastered the Royal Saint Will, his strength can also meet the standards of the strongest. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the sign-in and rewarding the Great Saint Body. At the same time, the system prompt sounded in Yi Junline's mind. Boom, Yi Junline's silver hair danced wildly, and his momentum was rising. There were earth-shaking changes in his body. All the blood was boiling like magma and rolling like a surging river. The sound of blood flowing could be heard even thousands of miles away. Yi Junline, who has a great saint body, has undoubtedly risen to a new level of physical strength. Luo Yan tried hard, but was shocked to find that the halberd held in Yi Junline's hand was always difficult to move. How is it possible? He exclaimed. Yi Junline joked, you still need to practice. Crack, crack, crack. Under the huge force he released, the originally indestructible halberd was suddenly covered with fragments, and finally exploded with a bang. The chaotic fragments of the holy weapon reflected Luo Yan's incredible expression. Yi Junline punched out. Boom! Luo Yan's figure flew backwards like a cannonball, falling directly into the Shira realm, smashing a huge deep pit. Ahem, how is it possible? Luo Yan's mouth was bleeding, his eyes were unfocused, his chest was sunken, his body was covered in blood, and he lost the ability to fight directly. This punch directly shattered his dream of revenge. Waste, Bo Chengli said angrily. To be honest, Yi Junline's appearance surprised her a little. Because according to her judgment of the Heavenly Court believed that Juyu could be easily destroyed, so Yi Junline, as the Lord of the Heavenly Court, would not come in person. Then, she could use Luo Wuliang's power to kill all these guys, leaving Yi Junline alone with no one around him. Never expected it. The other party unexpectedly showed up, which made Bo Chengli feel that his plan was disrupted, and a sense of uneasiness emerged in his heart. Chapter 811. Brother. Rosa's heart tightened. She still cared about her brother's safety. After all, the reason why he became like this was because of the troubles of the Wanshi Tianzun. Emperor Yi Tian. At this time, Luo Wuliang roared and stared at Yi Junlin with his ferocious eyes like a wild beast. He had a hunch that this person would be his powerful enemy. Come on, kill him. Bo Chengli slammed the armrest of the throne and shouted. Yi Junlin's eyes fell on the white-robed woman sitting on the throne, and he felt a little puzzled when he saw the resentful look on her face. This woman seems to have some kind of deep hatred against him. The problem is, in his impression, he has never met the other party, let alone had any grudge. So, what is the reason for this? Yi Junlin naturally couldn't recognize that this was Bo Chengli. After all, in his memory, Bo Chengli was a man, but now he was a woman. It was strange to recognize him. After receiving the order, Luo Wuliang's eyes glowed fiercely, and he let out a long roar that shook the galaxy. Then he waved the Fangtian painted halberd in his hand and launched a terrifying offensive towards Yi Junlin. Boom! The starry sky is trembling, and the stars are extinguished. Welcome! Yi Junlin was happy and unafraid, and he clenched his fist and blasted away. The light of his fist surged boundlessly, as if it could swallow everything in the world and destroy everything. With the Dacheng Holy Body, combined with the Immortal Hegemony Body Technique and the Supreme Bone, his physical body has now reached the level of the first person under the Saint of Creation. For several consecutive rounds, Luo Wuliang failed to take advantage, and even showed signs of being suppressed. The Fangtian painted halberd in his hand trembled crazily, and an astonishing reaction force came from the halberd body, causing severe pain in his arms and legs, and the blood in his body surged endlessly. Gradually, he felt as if he was facing a sacred stone. No matter how hard he hit it, he could not hurt the surface. Hee. Seeing that Luo Wuliang was equally difficult to deal with, Yi Junlin sneered and used his strongest punch. At the same time, the vast golden blood in his body exploded, spreading like a golden ocean, which could be seen even from many galaxies away. This is. Luo Wuliang instinctively felt the danger, and his hair stood up. Heavenly Emperor Fist. Yi Junlin punched out with a bang, and a huge and brilliant fist light appeared, like an unparalleled god king above the 9 heavens, pushing billions of planets to rumble. Shira's world-destroying kill. Luo Wuliang's eyes were red, and he roared again and again. The energy of Shira was madly injected into Fangtian's painted halberd. The body of the halberd was shrouded in dark golden light, and the power contained in it was greatly increased. At this moment, all his strength was unleashed. When he transformed into a super Shira man, he was more than 1,000 times stronger than before. Even the alienated DTN had to be brutally chopped by him and completely destroyed. Boom 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 boom. The most powerful conflict in history broke out between the two sides, and the aftermath of the release turned the Juyu realm upside down. Countless creatures fled in fear, fearing that they would be affected. Empress Fuyao led her people to retreat one after another, a look of shock appeared on her beautiful face. On the one hand, she was shocked by the high limit of their strength, and on the other hand, they had strong self-doubt. They are both in the Saint Ancestor realm, so the difference in strength is too big, right? Such a comparison shows that she is a parallel import. Even Empress Fuyao, who had always been confident, felt ashamed of herself at this moment and was hit hard. Under the huge impact of the Heavenly Emperor's fist, the Shira armor covering Luo Wuliang's body was shattered inch by inch, and strands of blood spilled from the corners of his mouth. Then, he roared again. The broken Shira armor was healing rapidly, and green veins protruded along the skin, his face was ferocious, and his blood-red eyes were beating with violent light. It's interesting. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. The only person who could take one of his Heavenly Emperor's fists without losing was Luo Wuliang. Aha! He continued to activate the Heavenly Emperor fist, and the invincible light of the fist illuminated the world, dispelling the darkness and coldness of the vast universe. Punch after punch was thrown out, crushing Luo Wuliang. Aha! Luo Wuliang's 7 orifices were bleeding, and his hair was flying wildly. The Fangtian painted halberd in his hand was broken, but he still fought fiercely with the broken halberd. The Shira armor on his body was constantly being broken and recast, but the speed was getting slower and slower. Dark golden blood dripped from the scar, and every drop was as heavy as a holy mountain. Final. Yi Junlin once again used the Heavenly Emperor's fist, and the force of the fist overwhelmed the 9 heavens and 10 earth, and knocked the seriously injured Luo Wuliang away. Luo Wuliang smashed into desolate planets forcefully, and finally floated powerlessly in space, unconscious. At this moment, he was like a bloody man, with no part of his body intact, scarred and shocking. Father. Rosa hurriedly went to check the situation and found that Luo Wuliang was still breathing, and her heart dropped from her throat. Call. After doing all this, Yi Junlin felt tired and breathed out a turbid breath. If he had not used the Dacheng holy body as a support, he would not have been able to use the Heavenly Emperor fist so many times. The power of the Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor is invincible. The heavenly army boiled like a sea, and countless soldiers shouted excitedly, their eyes full of fanaticism and admiration. The unprecedented battle between Yi Junlin and Luo Wuliang just now will definitely leave an indelible impression on everyone. Shira world. The white-robed woman sitting on the throne clenched her teeth and her whole body was shaking violently. She didn't know whether it was caused by excessive anger or fear. Trash, all trash. Bo Chengli really didn't expect that even though she had developed Luo Wuliang's Shira bloodline to the extreme, she still couldn't beat Yi Junlin. Is this guy really invincible? Next, it's you. Yi Junlin's eyes were blazing, and he pierced the white-robed woman like a sharp sword. He crossed multiple galaxies in one step and descended into the Shira world. The powerful aura spread like a vast storm, causing countless creatures to kneel down. The Asura warriors had no fighting spirit. Facing this white-robed man who had defeated the Shira king, they only had despair and fear in their hearts. Bo Chengli took a deep breath, stood up and walked towards Yi Junlin. Between heaven and earth, a pink mist suddenly rose up. The pink mist seemed to carry a strong ambiguous atmosphere, which could stimulate the desire in anyone's body. In Yi Junlin's sight, this mysterious woman slowly took off her white robe, revealing a flawless and seductive body. A meaningful smile appeared on her soft face, and her voice was as soft as a silver bell, as if it had magical power. My dear, you must be tired. Come, let me serve you well. Don't resist, I will give you the most wonderful experience in the world. Facing Yi Junlin, Bo Chengli used his last trump card to maximize the characteristics of the technique and tried to influence the other party's mind. After all, she is now a woman and the object of control is a man. With her current cultivation, in theory, as long as he is not a saint of creation, he will be manipulated by her means. Even a strong man with a strong will like Luo Wuliang succeeded in the end. If it weren't for the other party's precious daughter, she could order the other party to do anything at will. Therefore, Bo Chengli believes that he still has a chance to turn the tables. Seeing this graceful woman walking towards him slowly with a charming look on her face, Yi Junlin was stunned for a moment, as if he had lost his mind. Seeing this, Bo Chengli was delighted and secretly thought there was hope. As long as she worked harder, she could make the other party fall and get more powerful help. You know, this is the strongest human in the universe today. In Yi Junlin's eyes, this mysterious woman was like a spring, walking towards him without reservation, and even wanted to have something with him. Yi Junlin was confused about this, and he had never seen such an incredible scene in his life. Don't you want to kill me? Why are you giving me benefits? What's even stranger is that Yi Junlin looked at this woman who was getting closer and closer, and for some reason, a strange feeling emerged in his heart, as if he had seen the other party somewhere before. There was an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Ding, it is detected that the host is continuously under mental attack, and now the passive effect of being stronger when encountering a strong opponent is triggered. Close black lens bracket suddenly, the system prompt sounded. Yi Junlin was startled. No, I was attacked. Now, Yi Junlin realized that the other party did not do this for no reason, but was trying to interfere with his mind invisibly. No wonder I always felt something was strange, it turned out that there was a hidden mystery. In the field of vision, the charming woman had a ripple smile on her lips, stretched out her delicate and soft slender jade hand, and stroked her face, exhaling like orchids. Sir, let's have fun together. If it were any other man, he would have fallen by now, sinking into the gentleness of the other party. However, Yi Junlin, who ignored the influence, watched this woman performing like a clown, then he sneered, stretched out his hand to grab the other party's snow-white wrist, and broke it with a click. Bo Chengli was stunned at first, then he cried out in pain, and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. He looked at the silver-haired young man in disbelief, only to see that he showed a playful smile, and he didn't look confused at all. How could it be, you? Surprising, right? Unfortunately, your little trick doesn't work on me. Yi Junlin sneered and punched him without mercy. Boom. Bo Chengli flew backwards like a tattered sack, and fell hard on the square of the palace, smashing a huge deep pit. The beautiful body that was originally like the work of nature was covered with scars and blood at this moment, making people have no desire. The pink mist full of ambiguous atmosphere dissipated, and the outside cultivators could see the scene inside clearly, and their expressions were greatly shocked. Bo Chengli couldn't understand why her skills were completely ineffective on Yi Junlin, and had no effect at all. Under normal circumstances, even if he would not obey her, he would still have sympathy and would not attack her and spare her life. As a result, she was beaten to death by a punch. Looking at the miserable woman below, Yi Junlin sneered, "That's not enough. Keep performing." As soon as these words came out, Bo Chengli was completely defeated. The previous experiences, coupled with the current defeat, made Bo Chengli's emotions completely out of control. He screamed at the figure in the sky like a shrew. "Emperor Yi Tian, I hate you. I hate you for breaking my plan every time. It was like this before and it is still like this now. Because of you, I have suffered so much and endured so much to get to where I am today. Now you don't let me get what I want. Why don't you die? Don't die." Hearing this, Yi Junlin was confused. In his impression, there was no such person, so how could he make an enemy? "To be honest, I don't know you at all. Is there some misunderstanding between you and me?" In order to avoid misunderstanding, Yi Junlin asked seriously. Chapter 812, Misunderstand. Bo Chengli spit out a mouthful of blood, his eyes full of hatred, and sneered, "Have you ever heard of the name Peach Blossom Immortal?" Peach Blossom Immortal. These 4 words struck Yi Junlin's Tianling cap instantly like thunder, and his whole soul was about to fly out. His eyes were rounded, and his face was full of disbelief. He stretched out his fingers tremblingly, swallowed his saliva with a rumble in his throat, and said with difficulty, "Is it you?" Yi Junlin has been deeply impressed by Peach Blossom Immortal Lord until now. This person is a rare prodigy who has developed the spirit of eating soft food to the extreme. In his early years, he created his own yin and yang siphoning technique in the immortal world, and relied on harvesting yin and replenishing yang to strengthen his body. Even female monks cannot escape the poisonous hands. This is not the most terrifying thing. What's scary is that he can manipulate the minds of female monks and make them obey him unconditionally. At his peak, he cuckolded countless male compatriots and enslaved tens of millions of fairies who were both fair-skinned, beautiful and powerful, so that they were infamy, spurned and hated by future generations. Later, he was reborn and colluded with the Juyu army to occupy the northern Han immortal territory, but was defeated by Yi Junlin. Yi Junlin clearly remembered that he had killed this scumbag at that time. Unexpectedly, after many years, the other party is not only still alive, but even his gender has changed, from controlling women to controlling men. The most shocking thing is that this person changed from picking yin to replenish yang to picking yang to replenish yin. Doesn't that mean? Think of this. Yi Junlin's hair stood on end and he couldn't help but shudder. His eyes when he looked at Bo Chengli changed completely. "Good guy, I call him good guy. As a man and as a woman, your life is so wonderful." Yi Junlin couldn't imagine that Bo Chengli would find a new way for revenge and rely on men to get to where he is today. "I thought that the first eclosion was inspiring enough, but I didn't know that something even more inspiring was yet to come." "Haha, you remember it," Bo Chengli said with a look of resentment. "It's all thanks to you that I've reached this point." Yi Junlin became anxious and retorted, Hey, I didn't teach you to change gender. You are just enjoying it, what does it have to do with me?" Bo Chengli was so angry that he vomited out another mouthful of blood. His state was extremely depressed, and then he said in a weak voice, "Tell me, why is my technique ineffective on you? What secrets do you have?" Knowing that he was bound to die, before he died, Bo Chengli wanted to know the reason why Yi Junlin failed to succeed. She will fall into the hands of the other party for the rest of her life. It's hard not to accept your fate. Yi Junlin smiled playfully, "Guess." Bo Chengli was stunned for more than 10 seconds, and then roared angrily, "I guess you are paralyzed. Don't think that your life will be safe later on. Don't forget that you have offended 2 great creation saints at the same time. When the time comes, they will recover. The first one is to settle the score with you. Emperor Yi Tian, I'll wait for you on Wangquan Road." The words just fell. The whole world fell into darkness, and a huge rumbling sound sounded. After the dust and smoke dissipated, there was no trace of anyone left. Yi Junlin retracted his palm with an indifferent expression, "I don't need to worry about it now. I will definitely send them down when the time comes." At this point, the dust has settled. From Peach Blossom Immortal to Wanshi Tianzun, Bo Chengli's life is full of legends and absurdities. If she had persisted honestly, she could still have saved her life. However, her ambition was too great and she wanted to be the co-owner of heaven and earth, and was eventually sanctioned by Yi Junlin. Without the influence of Bo Chengli, the sanity of father and son Luo Yan and Luo Wuliang returned to normal. When they recalled what had happened before, they felt extremely ridiculous and ashamed. Of course, if they knew that Bo Chengli was a man before, their hearts would be shrouded in a haze for the rest of their lives and it would be difficult to get out of it. Everyone, everything is over. Yi Junlin flashed to the starry sky and said in a deep voice. Fellow Taoist Yi, who is the woman behind the scenes? Empress Fuyao asked in surprise. There is no need to mention a former enemy. Yi Junlin said he did not want to talk more. A man turned into a woman and had sex with many men. Such an explosive incident simply shattered the world. The most terrifying thing is that even he almost suffered a disaster. When he thought of the other party showing a woman's body to him, Yi Junlin felt a sense of discomfort and felt that he should take it easy after returning. In this case, what should we do with the 9 Nether Realm? Seeing this, Empress Fuyao immediately changed the subject. Now, the strongest Luo Wuliang has lost his fighting power, and no one in the 9 Nether Realm can stop them. In this case, they are the sure winners. Before Yi Junlin could speak, an urgent female voice came, Emperor Yi Tian, my father has something to say to you. Yi Junlin flashed and came to the father and daughter. At this time, Luo Wuliang no longer had the strong posture he had at the beginning. His whole body was covered with injuries, and he said with a miserable expression. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit. I, Luo, have made such a big mistake and deserve to die. Please ask Emperor Yi Tian to be magnanimous and forgive my child. There were tears in the corners of Rosa's eyes. Father, I don't want you to die. As she said that, she looked at Yi Junlin, grabbed her arm and begged, Emperor Yi Tian, this matter happened because of that woman. My father is innocent. Besides, your heavenly court has already won. You can take the 9 Nether Realm. Seeing this big-bellied little loli crying so pitifully made Yi Junlin feel quite guilty. Master. The big mushroom king stood out from the crowd. Yi Junlin's eyes flashed. Xiao He, what's wrong with you? It was this girl who saved my life at a critical moment, so I want to plead for her. The great mushroom king said seriously. If Rosa hadn't called out to the violent Luo Wuliang in time, he would have been stabbed to death by the Fang Tianhua Ji. Hong Chenny said coldly, I think we should put things in order. Don't forget how Juyu treated us before. We can let this woman go, but let's not do the others. Compared to the soft-heartedness of the great Mushroom King, Hong Chenny was even more ruthless. Hearing this, everyone in the heavenly court nodded. After all, Juyu had repeatedly invaded the Immortal Realm and Kunlun Realm before, and that was all real. As the highest decision-maker of Juyu, Luo Wuliang could not escape the blame. This can't be washed away. You guys. Rosa was so angry that she burst into tears and clenched her teeth. Forget it, Luo Wuliang sighed and said helplessly. No matter what happened before or now, I am willing to take all the blame alone. I only ask the heavenly court to forgive my children and the creatures of my 9 Netherworld, and completely end this meaningless and long struggle. Looking back to the past, there was no dispute between the 9 Netherworld and the Divine Court, but for some reason, friction gradually broke out and the contradictions deepened. Now that Emperor Yi Tian replaced the old master of the Divine Court and established the Heavenly Court, he has the ability to unify the universe. Luo begs the emperor to let the people of the world recuperate and all races live in harmony. Having said this, Luo Wuliang knew that someone must come to put a perfect end to this dispute. Then, Luo Wuliang's whole body was glowing, and his body was dissipating bit by bit. Rosa rushed over and grabbed his hand, crying, Father, don't leave. I don't want you to die. Sure, you have to live well. After I leave, you and your elder brother must lead the Asura clan well. Luo Wuliang looked at his daughter with a doting and reluctant look. As a great hero, the king among kings, he naturally had to die in a dignified way, and was willing to die for his tribe. Finally, his eyes fell on Yi Junlin, with a very complicated look, with wonder, unwillingness, regret, admiration, etc. He had become a super Shira, but he still couldn't beat the other party, and his strength seemed to have no limit. The young are really formidable. Luo Wuliang said sincerely. Emperor Yi Tian, I hope you can continue to win in the end. After that, he completely turned into a rain of light and dissipated in the vast universe. Father, Rosa cried and cried heartbreakingly. Woo woo woo. On the other side, Luo Yan, who fell in the huge pit, burst into tears. Tears kept flowing from the corners of his eyes, and his heart was filled with endless grief. He knew that his most respected father had left him forever. The 9 Nether Realm fell into great grief. The death of Luo Wuliang meant the end of an old era. He used to be the strongest of that era, full of vigor and ambition, looking down on the world. Unfortunately, he took a wrong step and fell into the abyss. He eventually died at the hands of a stronger genius than him. Everyone in the heavenly court was silent. This was the best result. Yi Junlin felt a little heavy because he thought of the conversation between the Lord of the Nine Netherworld and him. In his words, he was disdainful and contemptuous of the common people, as if the universe was his chessboard, all living beings were chess pieces, and countless brilliant geniuses were his playthings which could be discarded after use. The same was true for Luo Wuliang. Due to the struggle between the Lord of the Nine Netherworld and the Lord of the Divine Court, he had to be forced to get involved as an agent and participate in the crusades against the Kunlun realm again and again. The beginning of all these disasters came from the Lord of the Nine Netherworld and the Lord of the Divine Court. As his thoughts fluctuated, Yi Junlin looked at the endless starry sky, with an extreme murderous intent flashing in his eyes. He secretly said in his heart, "How long do you want to hide? I really want to kill you all. There is no way. If the Saint of Creation insists on not showing up, he really can't find him. At present, he can only wait slowly." Afterwards, the war came to an end, and the army of the heavenly court returned to the court. All the heavens and the worlds knew that the heavenly court had completely defeated the Nine Netherworld. The cheers were endless and the worlds were boiling. The next day, Luo Yan, who succeeded the position of the Patriarch, publicly announced on behalf of the creatures of the Nine Netherworld that the name of the Nine Netherworld would be cancelled and it would be included in the territory of the heavenly court from now on. As soon as this statement was released, the universe was greatly shaken. Because it means that there is no concept of the Nine Netherworld anymore, only the heavenly court will exist in the world from now on, and the heavenly court will include all the worlds and races in the universe. Realize the true unification of the universe. The heavenly court also spoke out to the outside world, declaring that it would eliminate the previous contradictions, and the various worlds should not continue to fight, but should coexist peacefully and recuperate. The meaning is very simple, that is, the cultivators of the heavens and the worlds should not take this opportunity to retaliate against the Nine Netherworld creatures. From now on, everyone is one family. There is no need to engage in racial discrimination and continue to deepen hatred. The Lord of Heaven even proposed a consensus called the Great Unity of the Universe. Any force that wants to destroy the relationship between the races will be severely punished by the heavenly court. Originally, some forces wanted to use this opportunity to suppress the Nine Netherworld creatures and engage in racial discrimination. Under the pressure of the Lord of Heaven, they were frightened and quickly gave up this idea and dared not destroy the consensus of the Great Unity of the Universe. So far, in the next few hundred years, the universe has entered a new era of recuperation and harmony among all races. Chapter 813. Hundreds of years have passed. Because of the great unification of the heavenly court and the consensus of the great unity of the universe, the various races have stopped fighting each other and the disputes have ended. In addition, the concept of the first saint leading the later saints has been continuously implemented. Some worlds that are still in the immortal civilization have gradually broken through the bottleneck during this period and successfully transformed into the level of the pilgrimage civilization. The number of saints in the entire universe has become more and more, showing an explosive growth. The gold content of the heavenly court is continuing to rise, and it occupies an unshakable position in the minds of countless creatures. The older generation of monks couldn't help but sigh when they saw the prosperous and harmonious coexistence today. Compared with the chaotic situation in the universe before, the days now are so beautiful. They hope that the heavenly court can always maintain the status quo and don't want this stable situation to be broken. This is also the common voice of the creatures in the 10,000 realms. No one wants to go back to the old days. When the excess resources are rationally distributed, when the conflicts between the races are resolved, and when there are no people with ulterior motives instigating, it would be strange if the situation in the universe is not stable. Even the former Nine Netherworld cultivators gradually let go of their grudges, lived in harmony with the heavens and the myriad worlds, and slowly regarded themselves as part of the heavenly court. After all, the heavenly court is really good, and did not continue to oppress them and enslave them. Who would not be moved by such kindness? But now, there is still a big hidden danger in the universe, that is, the two great saints of creation who are recuperating behind the scenes. Once they come back and destroy the heavenly court, they will begin to restore the old system and recreate the chaotic world of the Shenting and Nine Netherworld disputes. So, this is also what many people are most worried about, and they are afraid that day will come. Heavenly Court. Lu Wangshu reported the progress as usual, such as how many worlds he helped transition to the Holy Dao civilization this year, how many poor Tianzhou he helped, and so on. Emperor of Heaven, I'm done. After the report, Lu Wangshu breathed a sigh of relief, looking at the silver-haired young man sitting in the void in front of him, holding a bamboo pole and fishing, with a rather strange look. He felt that Yi Junlin was simply a genius, with a head full of novel ideas. Before this, Lu Wangshu had never thought that the path of the universe's development could go this way. Even if he knew, he felt it was impossible to do it. Because it was really unrealistic, and he would face many obstacles, and he would even be attacked by the old forces. However, this man did it, which was an unprecedented great feat. Well, step down. Yi Junlin didn't even raise his eyelids, holding a bamboo pole and said lightly. Emperor Tian, you have been fishing here for a long time. What I don't understand is what you are fishing for. And your fishing rod doesn't even have bait. Lu Wangshu hesitated for a moment and asked. Over the years, the other party always maintained such a strange behavior. Obviously there was no fish to catch, but he still persisted. Over time, he was afraid that Yi Junlin's brain would have problems. Yi Junlin said leisurely, who said there is no bait? This Kunlun realm is my bait, and I think this fish will be hooked soon. As soon as this was said, Lu Wangshu was stunned, and then thought of a possibility, and his eyes showed shock. Could it be that what this person is referring to is? At this moment, Yi Junlin opened his eyes, bursting with brilliant divine light, and sneered, look, isn't the fish coming? Boom! In the starry sky, a terrifying figure like the abyss appeared, and the strange eyes that could not be gazed at like a black hole stared at the beautiful planet of Kunlun realm. Invisibly, the sense of oppression was full, and the sky of Kunlun realm darkened. Countless cultivators felt suffocated in their chests and cast terrified eyes. This is the breath of the saint of creation. At the same time, the scalps of the strong men in the heavenly court almost exploded, looking at the vast and terrifying figure outside the domain. It's the Lord of the Nine Netherworld. Detian and Luan, who were imprisoned in the heavenly prison, felt this long-lost familiar breath and said with an ugly face. They knew that the Lord of the Nine Netherworld was powerful, and it was definitely not as simple as an ordinary saint of creation. Now, the Lord of the Nine Netherworld, whose physical condition has almost recovered, can't help but want to take action to eliminate the Kunlun realm. Detian and Luan had expected this matter. If they succeeded in polluting the star core, everyone would be happy. Although the future of the Kunlun realm was ruined, there would at least be a chance for it to rise in the future. It can not only prevent the Lord of the Divine Court from succeeding, but also preserve the Kunlun realm. Who knew that they were stopped by Yi Junlin later, causing their plan to fail, so the Lord of the Nine Netherworld, who had no cards to use, could only take action himself. Because if he didn't take action again, he would have no chance later. After all, when the Lord of the Divine Court opened the Void God Tree and achieved the Supreme Godhood, would the Lord of the Nine Netherworld, who was his mortal enemy, still have a life to live? So, the Lord of the Nine Netherworld, who was forced into a desperate situation, must destroy the Kunlun realm at all costs to win a way out for himself. Now, he is finally going to take action against the Kunlun realm. Yes, it's the Lord of the Nine Netherworld. Feeling this strong sense of oppression, Lu Wangshu felt as small as dust, and a flash of extreme fear flashed in his eyes. Old Lu, watch your words. Now that the Nine Netherworld has been destroyed by me, where did the Lord of the Nine Netherworld come from? Yi Junlin stood up, threw away the bamboo pole in his hand, and looked at the terrifying huge figure outside the domain with a mocking smile on his lips. What he was waiting for was for the other party to fall into the trap. Emperor Yi Tian, I will give you one more chance to pollute the star core. Afterwards, I will allow you to continue to be in charge of Heavenly Court. We will work together to deal with the Emperor of Chaos. The Emperor of Chaos refers to the Lord of the Divine Court. You Emperor, who was forced to show up, was not stupid. He knew that the Emperor of Chaos was also secretly watching his actions at this moment. If he took action against Kunlun realm, he would definitely be stopped by the other party. In addition, through the previous observations, Emperor Yu believed that Yi Junlin already had the strength to be a quasi-sage of creation and had the qualifications to break away from the chess pieces and become a chess player, so he was willing to put aside his status and discuss with Yi Junlin, hoping to win the opponent over. Come from his camp. When the time comes, it may seem like a three-legged confrontation, but in reality it will be 2 against 1, which will give him a great advantage. Yi Junlin sneered. Do you think this is possible? If I really want to do it, why wait until now? Emperor Yu suppressed his anger. He knew that this human being was very stubborn and extremely arrogant. If he didn't have some ability, he would have wiped it out with a flick of his finger. Emperor Yi Tian, I know that you have great ambitions. Let's do this. If you agree to cooperate with me, I am willing to give you a chance to break through the holy creation. Emperor Yu threw out this killing move. Holy creation. Hearing this, the whole world was shocked. Yi Junlin said disdainfully, "Do you think I am a 3-year-old child? Would I believe such nonsense? Haha, what do you think this is?" Emperor Yu was not surprised to be questioned. He raised his palm, and a ray of light flashed from his palm, and a dazzling golden holy energy appeared, containing a mysterious and boundless holy charm, just like the beginning of the world. Like a birth, there is an eternal aura of the holy way. When this ray of golden holy energy appeared, it suddenly attracted the attention of all living beings. Especially those who have reached the Saint Ancestor realm, they feel a wonderful sense of harmony in their hearts. This is it. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows. This is the energy of creation. Emperor Yu didn't hide it anymore, and simply said, "Do you know why you have been unable to break through the Saint of Creation? The reason is here, because the opportunity to truly break through the Saint of Creation has long been grasped by me and the Emperor of Chaos, so there have always been only 2 Saints of Creation. As long as you agree to cooperate with me and take the initiative to pollute the star core, I will give it to you to help you break through the holy creation. You can dominate the world together like me." In an instant, the whole universe was shaken. The amount of information revealed by Emperor Yu's words was so huge that it shocked everyone. Instead, there was a deep indignation. It turns out that the key to becoming a saint of creation is actually the chi of creation, otherwise even those who have reached the strongest level will not be able to break through. Knowing this, Empress Fuyao and others were shocked and angry, feeling like they had been kept in the dark and deceived for many years. They thought that the reason they couldn't break through the holy creation was because they didn't work hard enough. In fact, the channel for ascending had already been blocked, and it had nothing to do with whether they worked hard or not. So that's it, Yi Junlin suddenly realized. No wonder he is the great perfection of the Saint Ancestor realm, and possesses the holy will of the Quasi-Emperor. He is obviously the most promising one among all the Saint Ancestor realm, but he still cannot break through the Saint of Creation. Now the truth is revealed. Chapter 814. So, you know what to choose. Emperor Yu was full of confidence and said, "I admire you very much. In the future, you and I will join hands to govern this universe." Fortunately, when he broke through to the Saint of Creation, there was still a ray of creation chi left, and now it finally comes in handy. Emperor Yu didn't believe that Yi Junlin would refuse the temptation to become the Saint of Creation. This is the Saint of Creation. The true pinnacle of the holy path level. How many Saint Ancestors have dreamed of this state until their death? Empress Fuyao and the others were silent. As long as they polluted the star core of Kunlun realm, they would be qualified to become the Saints of Creation. This temptation is not big. If given a choice, how many people would choose the latter after weighing the pros and cons? Many monks in Kunlun realm had complicated expressions, feeling that it was too testing of human nature. Even they all thought that Yi Junlin might trade the future of Kunlun realm for this great opportunity. It's not a bad idea to do this, DTN said in a deep voice. He agreed with Yi Junlin's decision to exchange the future of Kunlun realm for the energy of creation. After all, instead of letting the Emperor of Chaos become a god and settle the accounts with the Queen, and everyone must die in the end, it is better to listen to Emperor Yu and save everyone. Yes, the Kunlun realm can be preserved anyway, but the glory is gone, which is better than complete destruction later. Luan said seriously. As onlookers, they felt that this was a particularly profitable deal. There is no reason to refuse at all. Countless people held their breath, waiting for Yi Junlin's decision. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the option mission. Close black lens bracket. Option 1. Agree to Yu Emperor's conditions and reward the Saint of Creation. Close black lens bracket. Option 2. Reject Emperor Yu's conditions and obtain the holy will of the Emperor. Close black lens bracket. Suddenly, the system prompt sounded in my mind. Yi Junlin was startled and looked strange. I have the characteristic of becoming stronger when encountering strength, but am I still afraid that I will not be able to cultivate the Saint of Creation by then? Do you think I'm a fool? Then you must choose the second option. There is the holy will of the Emperor. Of course, even if there is no such option, Yi Junlin will choose to reject Emperor Yu's conditions, because he does not need the help of the chi of creation at all. Thoughts are turning. Yi Junlin said to Emperor Yu, "I will not agree to your request." As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. How could it be possible? The expression on Emperor Yu's face froze, and the anger in his heart surged. Why don't you agree? Emperor Yu couldn't understand why Yi Junlin gave up this opportunity. Obviously this is a very good condition. In the end, I still didn't want to agree. Does it have to be forced to the point of life and death in the end? Yu Emperor cherishes his feathers very much, because he knows that there is a mortal enemy watching next to him. That's why he was willing to condescend to negotiate terms with Yi Junlin, and even gave him such a huge opportunity as the energy of creation. He really hopes that Yi Junlin can cooperate with him to defeat the ambition of the Chaos Emperor. As a result, this vision was shattered. Emperor Yi Tian, are you crazy? Emperor Yu roared emotionally. Yi Junlin sneered. Even if you kneel down and beg me, I won't agree. As long as I'm here, you can't touch the Kunlun world. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the optional task and being rewarded with the Emperor's holy will. Close black lens bracket. In an instant, the quasi-imperial holy will controlled by Yi Junlin directly transformed into the imperial holy will. After hearing these words, Emperor Yu could no longer contain the anger in his heart. This was simply a humiliation to him. Okay, very good, I want to see how you can stop me. Emperor Yu stretched out his big hand and slapped it, and the big black handprint hit Kunlun realm. He felt that Yi Junlin was really crazy and was stupid enough to think that he could compete with the real saint of creation. Although his strength has only been restored to 80%, it is still enough to kill a quasi-creation saint. The true saint of creation has a unique power of creation. In the face of this incomparably mysterious power of creation, all external forces will be dissolved, just like ice and snow encountering the scorching sun. It's just so disgusting. Therefore, Emperor Yu was only wary of Yi Junlin, not afraid. The Kunlun world is trembling violently, and it seems that it cannot withstand this terrifying power. Ding, it has been detected that the host is attacked by an enemy of the 8th turn saint of creation. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering a strong one, and gains the cultivation of the 9th turn of the saint of creation. Close black lens bracket. The system prompt sounds. Boom, a mysterious aura erupted from Yi Junlin's body, and his life level was completely sublimated, as if he had risen to a higher dimension. All living beings were nothing in his eyes. At this moment, Yi Junlin realized why Emperor Yu and Emperor Chaos were so cold-blooded and ruthless towards the common people. In the final analysis, reaching the level of Saint of Creation made a huge difference. The most powerful person respected by thousands of people is just a bigger ant. Just move your finger and you can erase it from this world. You are the Saint of Creation. Feeling this similar aura, Emperor Yu's face looked as if he had seen some incredible scene, and he lost his voice. This is unbelievable. The only way to advance to the Saint of Creation was blocked by him and the Emperor of Chaos. How could anyone in this world be able to break through? The most outrageous thing is that this cultivation level is actually slightly better than him. That is the 9 transformation Saint of Creation. He has cultivated to this level without saying a word. The Saint of Creation is divided into levels 1 to 9. If you reach one more level, your strength will be greatly improved. And the 9-turn Creation Saint is already the ceiling of the Creation Saint. Emperor Yu suddenly felt like he was dreaming, and it felt particularly unreal. At the same time, the dark big handprint was blasted by a golden fist force, turning into black starlight falling all over the sky. Everyone was stunned, their heads buzzing. What did they see? Emperor Yi Tian was also the legendary Creation Saint. In this way, there are 3 Creation Saints in the entire universe. Emperor Tian and the others were stunned. This man had already broken through to the Creation Saint. Wait, doesn't it say that you need the energy of creation to break through? Or did the other party get it a long time ago? When everyone saw Yi Junlin reveal his identity as the Creation Saint, they felt incredible. But in any case, this is a great joy. Compared with Emperor Yu and Emperor Chaos, who brought disputes to the universe, Emperor Yi Tian, who brought peace and stability to all living beings, won more people's hearts. Therefore, the stronger Yi Junlin performed, the happier they were. Those cultivators who had previously thought that Yi Junlin would agree to the conditions were all ashamed, because it turned out that he had already reached it a long time ago and did not care about the good fortune given by the Emperor Yu. Fellow Taoist Yi is really good at hiding, sighed the Empress Fuyao. Compared with this person, her talent is simply not worth mentioning. Chang Shengwang said depressedly. Who said it wasn't? I am very curious about how he broke through to the Saint of Good Fortune without making any noise. At this time, Yi Junlin took a step forward and came to the outside of the domain. His figure was also changing. He was taller than the Emperor Yu and full of oppression. The golden eyes like a god stared at the other party playfully, as if looking at a prey that had fallen into the trap. He sneered, "You shouldn't have come. At least you can survive for a while." The Emperor of Hell reacted from the shock and said angrily, "So you were waiting for me to show up on purpose." He finally understood why the other party always looked indifferent. It turned out that he had a peerless cultivation and something to rely on. The next second, in shock and anger, the Emperor of Hell punched out without reservation. The terrifying fist force turned into the shape of a ghost dragon, shaking the endless starry sky and swallowing Yi Junlin. This is one of his special moves, the Netherworld Ghost Dragon Fist. Yi Junlin directly used the Emperor of Heaven Fist, and the infinite fist light covered the world, colliding with the Netherworld Ghost Dragon Fist. Boom boom boom, the universe is shaking, and all the domains are afraid. The Emperor of Hell and Yi Junlin broke out in a fight, and the scene was thrilling. Dark domain. In an instant, the vast starry sky fell into darkness, and the boundless cold and darkness enveloped Yi Junlin, filled with the breath of death and despair. This is the great magical power of Emperor Yu. His strength will be greatly improved in the field, while the enemy's strength will be suppressed to a certain extent. Yi Junlin frowned, and indeed felt that his strength was not as good as before. It seems that this guy still has something. Emperor Yu said coldly. Emperor Yi Tian, since things have come to this point, why don't we each take a step back? You have also seen that I am not someone you can kill at will. He really didn't want to be picked up by Emperor Chaos Tian, so he wanted to force Yi Junlin to make concessions. Yi Junlin sneered. What are you thinking? Today is your death day. As soon as these words came out, Emperor Yu's fluke mentality was wiped out directly. He said angrily, I think you are looking for death. Emperor Yu was completely desperate. No matter what the final result was, he wanted to drag Yi Junlin to death at this moment. Roar. The high-pitched and passionate dragon roar resounded throughout the starry sky. 9 ferocious-looking, huge evil dragons with monstrous netherworld power came out from behind the Nether Emperor and rushed towards Yi Junlin. The momentum was unmatched, full of the power of annihilation. The Heavenly Emperor Dharma Image. Faced with this situation, Yi Junlin activated the Heavenly Emperor Dharma Image, and the power that was originally suppressed on him invisibly was instantly dissolved. He once again punched the Heavenly Emperor Fist, and with the blessing of the Heavenly Emperor Dharma Image, the power of the Heavenly Emperor Fist reached the maximum in history. Bang 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 bang. Suddenly, the 9-headed evil dragon was blown up by a devastating force, and Yi Junlin used the Heavenly Emperor Fist to hit the Nether Emperor. Swish. The infinite fist light was dazzling, reflecting the frightened expression of the Nether Emperor. Soon, with a heart-shaking rumble, the entire Dark Realm collapsed under the huge impact, and the vast energy fluctuations raged. The Nether Emperor vomited blood, his eyes full of deep fear. With just this little ability, it's not enough to kill me. Yi Junlin sneered and slashed at the Emperor of the Underworld, causing his body to be on the verge of breaking. The hot holy blood spilled into the sea of stars, causing countless planets to melt rapidly. In the eyes of outsiders, the Emperor of the Underworld was suppressed unilaterally. Facing Yi Junlin's attack, he had no power to resist. Luo Yan and the others were shocked and could not say a word. As the old subordinates of the Lord of the Underworld, the Lord of the Underworld was like a god to them. This had already formed a brand of fear, which would be affected for generations. But now, the god in their eyes was being beaten. It was so miserable. Chapter 815. Witnessed by countless creatures throughout the universe, the former Supreme Lord of the 9 Netherworlds is being blasted. This was unimaginable before. Now, it's really happening. Emperor Yu was vomiting blood and his body was almost in pieces. He looked very miserable. All the techniques he was proud of turned into nothing in front of the Heavenly Emperor Fist and were vulnerable to a single blow. Tell me, how did you learn about the Chi of creation in advance? Yi Junlin said. This is the question he most wants to know. It is rumored that the Lord of the Divine Court and the Lord of the 9 Nethers appeared in the oldest era of the universe. They do not belong to any race in the world, and they have always been at the forefront of every era. Even things like the Chi of creation can be known and predicted in advance, thus becoming the saint of creation one step ahead. This made Yi Junlin doubtful and wanted to know the answer. At this time, Emperor Yu was covered in blood, and every part of his body was intact. His whole face was almost collapsed, and it was very eye-catching. Facing Yi Junlin's questions, he had no intention of answering, and his cold and hoarse voice sounded with utter hatred. Emperor Yi Tian, you will regret it. Don't think that everything will be fine if you kill me. My today is your tomorrow. You won't end up much better than me. After saying that, Emperor Yu's body was shaken, and his broken body quickly disintegrated like wind and sand. Before he died, he let out a sad laugh, which seemed to be full of deep unwillingness. He didn't want Yi Junlin to kill him with his own hands, nor did he want Yi Junlin to pry into his memory. This is the last dignity of a higher life that he calls himself. Emperor, you didn't expect that such terrifying natives would be born in this universe. Only now did he finally understand why the Chaos Emperor was so eager for success that he would risk falling out with him and sacrifice all realms to achieve the status of God. If they continue to delay, there is no guarantee that there will be no latecomers with unparalleled qualifications who will pull them down from the high altar. Now, his death is the best proof. The master who once ruled half of the universe was forced to commit suicide. Only Yi Junlin had his hands on his back, his body was slender, his dazzling silver hair hung like a galaxy, and every inch of his skin was so white that it shone like a god, like an unrivaled god king standing above the 9 heavens, ruling for eternity. Countless souls were shocked, and this scene will be unforgettable for the rest of their lives. Emperor. I don't know who shouted first, and then more and more people responded, until the universe boiled, the stars trembled, and the entire universe was filled with a sound. This is the highest respect that all races have for the Lord of Heaven, which means that Yi Junlin's reputation has reached a whole new level. You know, before this incident, everyone was almost worried about the future fate of Heavenly Court, because as the Lord of Creation, the Lord of 9 Nethers and the Lord of Divine Court were still hiding behind the scenes. Once one of them took action, Heavenly Court would be in danger. All living beings will lose their short-term peaceful coexistence and return to that turbulent dark age. As a result, what happened today proved that their worries were completely unnecessary. As powerful as the Lord of 9 Nethers, he was no match for Emperor Yi Tian, and he was finally forced to kill himself. So, did they have anything to worry about? If all sentient beings had a little bit of flattery when they shouted for the Emperor of Heaven before, they would be sincere after this battle. Because only absolute strength can be worthy of the title of Emperor of Heaven. This guy disappeared together with the energy of creation. What a good trick, Yi Junlin sneered. He originally wanted to use this wisp of the air of creation to deduce the source of the air of creation, but it was still too late to stop the other party's little move. Yi Junlin concluded that there must be a very secret place in the universe filled with a large amount of the energy of creation. It's just that this place is sealed off and not known to the outside world. Back in heaven, Yi Junlin sat on the cold throne, looking down at the vast world. In the following time, all the powerful people from all over the universe came to pray, just to see this invincible emperor. This grand situation lasted for more than 3 months before slowly calming down. What's interesting is that Dishan and Luan were finally released with extremely complicated expressions. They knew that except for the former master of the Divine Court, no one in the world could pose a threat to Yi Junlin. Yi Junlin didn't blame them at all. After all, these two guys had good intentions, but their roots were different, and it was more of a helpless move. Perhaps he can really fight against the Lord of the Divine Court and protect all heavens and realms. DTN, with unshaven beard and disheveled hair, murmured. No matter how powerful the saint of creation is, can he fight against a true god? Luan next to him still expressed doubts, but this was no longer something he could control. The reason why they were released was that they didn't take them seriously at all. Afterwards, DTN and Luan did not continue to plot the Star Core, but instead devoted themselves to the heaven to make contributions. Everyone also settled their differences and did not deliberately exclude them. Time flies by like a white horse. The situation in the universe continues to be stable and peaceful, and all living beings seem to have forgotten the fear of being dominated at the beginning, and all walks of life are prosperous and prosperous. Only some people who know the inside story still feel that the real crisis has not been resolved. Kunlun Realm, there is a very influential sect called Tianji sect. In order to visit the sect leader, many powerful people from outside the region even bring heavy treasures to cross the border, just to get a fortune. Rumor has it that the master of the Tianji sect knows the future, past and present, criticizes yin and yang, cuts off the 5 elements, and can calculate all kinds of things in the world. He is truly a god. It is said that the Heavenly Court's army's crusade against Juyu included the master of the Tianji sect among them. It was he who deduced the factors that were unfavorable to the Heavenly Court, allowing the Heavenly Court's lord to know in advance and solve the problem. Otherwise, the Heavenly Court's army would have been disastrous. The whole army will be annihilated. For this reason, the Tianji sect played an important role, and even received a royal plaque specially given by the Lord of Heaven. This royal plaque is very precious and can ensure the longevity of the Tianji sect's orthodoxy. In an ancient Taoist temple, a thin, middle-aged Taoist priest sat cross-legged, with a plaque hanging high above his head behind him. This plaque was filled with rich holy rhymes, and there were several vast and powerful characters on it, with dragons and phoenixes dancing in the air. It contains the untouchable imperial power. The best fortune teller in the world. If someone saw it, they would definitely think it was a big deal. After all, there are so many fortune tellers all over the world. Why do you have such a title? But if you see the name signed on the plaque, your attitude will change 180 degrees in an instant, and you will be full of respect and belief in it. The reason is very simple. This is the royal plaque given by the Lord of Heaven. The words on it were written by him himself, which is extremely authoritative. Because of being backed by heaven and receiving this honor, the reputation of Tianji sect has reached an unprecedented height. As the sect leader, Tianji is also respected by thousands of people and has a high status. Master, there is a distinguished guest outside who wants to see you. A slim woman shouted at the door. She is tall, with skin as fair as jade. She wears a black Taoist robe with bagua patterns and a delicate gourd at her waist. Her big eyes are clear and bright, and she has an indescribable aura. This is the little dumpling who followed Tianji back then. Now he is the chief disciple and the successor most likely to inherit the position of sect leader. Let him in. Tianji closed his eyes and said calmly. Then, an extraordinary man wearing an ancient crown and dark black robe walked into the Taoist temple with his hands behind his back. His face was expressionless, his eyes were cold, and he had an indescribable aura about him. The temperature in the air suddenly dropped a lot. Tianji couldn't help but shudder, opened his eyes and looked in surprise. At first glance, he almost fell into despair. After trying my best to stabilize myself, big beads of sweat poured out from my forehead, and I felt very frightened and uneasy inside. This is the only one among all the guests that he cannot see through. It seems that the other person has already transcended all living beings and is not bound by the Great Road. Chapter 816. What do you call this, young master? Tianji swallowed his saliva and asked cautiously. The man in gold robe did not answer directly, but sneered, I heard that you are very accurate in calculation and can predict the future Tianji said bravely, Your Excellency, you are so complimentary. I do have this ability. Then you can help me calculate what I will do next. I want to know if there is any deviation from what I expected. The man in gold robe said coldly. His sense of oppression was too strong, and his tone carried an irresistible force. Tianji was deeply afraid that he would die in the next second, so he had to suppress his fear and began to use secret techniques to make calculations. Gradually, a terrifying picture appeared in my mind. In the screen, in a mysterious space somewhere, a vague figure sacrificed a strange treasure tree. Infused with his power, the tree trunk extended into the void, absorbing the power of the star core of all the worlds, and all the worlds went from being full of vitality to being exhausted. It only took less than 10 seconds, including the Kunlun world where he was, and the same was true, reduced to a Death Star. This apocalyptic scene brought huge shock and deep despair to Tianji. He could not believe that the universe would face such a situation next. Puff! Tianji vomited blood and looked much older in an instant. From a middle-aged man with gray hair on his temples, he turned into a gray-haired old man. He lay on the ground, trying his best to stare at those turbid eyes, looking at him in horror. The man in golden robe in front of him said in a trembling voice. You, who are you? The picture he calculated was the crisis that the universe will face in the near future, and the person who caused this crisis was the man in front of him. In response to this, Tianji was filled with panic and despair, and seemed to have vaguely guessed the identity of the other party. Let me see the results you calculated. The man in gold robe sneered and put his hand on Tianji's head. In an instant, his eyes turned gray as he checked his memory. Tianji screamed as he felt his brain stinging. For a moment, the man in golden robe let go of his hand, and a look of excitement appeared on his face. It seems that I have really succeeded. This person is the Emperor of Chaos who has not appeared for a long time. When Emperor Yu wanted to attack the Kunlun realm, he was so nervous. Unexpectedly, Yi Junlin directly showed the cultivation of the 9 tribulations saint of creation, blasting his nemesis Emperor Yu, and finally forced him to commit suicide. The Emperor of Chaos, who secretly witnessed the whole process, was greatly shocked. He could not describe the feeling in his heart with words. Although Emperor Yu had always stopped him and was his mortal enemy. If he became a god in the future, he would definitely kill him and vent his anger. However, Emperor Yu came from the same place as him, and in the end he died at such despicable hands, inside. At the same time, this made the Chaos Emperor extremely firm in his thoughts. He doesn't want to stay in this low-level plane anymore, so what if he is invincible? Can he remain invincible forever? The natives in this universe have begun to pose a threat to him. He must become a god as soon as possible and break the shackles of this universe. Go to a new world. Therefore, after Emperor Yu died, Emperor Chaos continued to hibernate until his body fully recovered before taking action. In order to ensure nothing goes wrong, he specially evolved a clone and secretly found the master of the Tianji sect who claimed to be able to predict the future. In the opponent's deduction results, the Chaos Emperor saw that he had opened the Void Divine Tree, successfully absorbed the power of the star core of all realms, and condensed the divine fruit. See this situation, the Chaos Emperor was greatly inspired and had no worries in his heart. Because victory is at hand. What else does he need to be afraid of? At that time, as long as he sacrifices to all the worlds, he will be the only true god in this universe. The so-called Yi Tiandi is nothing more than an ant in his eyes. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Thinking of this, the man in gold robe spread his arms and laughed excitedly. Bang! The door of the Taoist temple was kicked open, and Xiaotuanzi rushed in. When he saw the old Tianjizi lying on the ground, vomiting blood, he was shocked and said, "Master. Don't come over, go and inform Emperor Yi Tian quickly." Tianjizi said with difficulty, anxious in his heart. "It's too late, he can't stop me. If you have some ability, I can spare your life. Then you can watch carefully how I kill Emperor Yi Tian and destroy the heavenly court." The man in gold robe sneered, his figure quickly became hazy and illusory, and finally disappeared into the room, as if he had never appeared before. "Master, what is going on? Who was that man just now?" Xiaotuanzi hurriedly stepped forward to help Tianjizi up, wondering. "Hey, he is the lord of the divine court back then. This time we are completely finished." Tianjizi recalled the terrifying scene in his mind, his heart trembled wildly, and his old face was full of despair. He couldn't imagine what kind of situation the universe would face in the future. All the efforts made by heaven will be in vain. At the same time, in the mysterious space, the Chaos Emperor sacrificed the void sacred tree without hesitation. This was a sacred ancient tree with mysterious runes all over its body. The Chaos Emperor mobilized all the power in his body and injected it into it. In an instant, the ancient tree burst out with immeasurable divine light. The densely packed branches instantly submerged into the void and quickly extended to the interior of the heavens and worlds. The protection of any formation was useless, as if they appeared out of thin air. Each branch was separately pierced into the star core and greedily absorbed the energy of the star core. "Appear, the divine fruit that I have dreamed of." The Chaos Heavenly Emperor looked almost crazy, staring at the top of the void divine tree, and an additional prototype of the fruit began to appear, with some kind of divinity. Seeing this embryonic divine fruit, the Chaos Heavenly Emperor was perked up and said ecstatically, "Yes, that's it. Hurry up and mature, I won't have time to enjoy it." At this moment, faced with the crazy extraction of the void sacred tree, the star core energy of countless worlds was drained, followed by scenes of all kinds of withered things. The earth was cracking, the woods were withering, and the rivers were drying up. It was like the end of the world was coming. "Feel. What's going on?" a strong man asked with a horrified look. "No, this is not true," someone cried bitterly, looking at the gray sky, filled with intense fear and uneasiness. Why is this happening?" An old man knelt on the cracked ground, crying bitterly. He felt that Mother Earth, which gave birth to all things, was dead. It was like 1,000 arrows piercing his heart, and he was filled with great sorrow for a moment. The meaning spreads in my heart. In the vast universe, countless vibrant planets fell into silence and became death stars. The laws of heaven and earth collapsed directly, and the holy energy was exhausted. Looking around, the world is wailing, and all races are shrouded in a haze of despair. None of the living beings expected that their ancestral planet would suddenly encounter a catastrophe. The same is true for Kunlun realm. Without the operation of the star core, the entire world collapsed. For a moment, everyone felt empty in their hearts, as if they had lost something important. Panic began to appear on their faces, and they felt overwhelmed. What's going on? Can anyone explain it? Star core. There must be something wrong with the star core. It's not just us, it seems like the whole universe is like this. Hurry and ask for help from the Emperor of Heaven. The Emperor of Heaven will definitely be able to find a solution. Shouts of exclamation kept coming, and monks everywhere were panicking, unable to believe that what they were seeing was real. It's so good, how could this happen? The 5 major domains were in chaos, filled with an atmosphere of panic. Heaven, this day has finally come. DTN looked ugly. That guy said he could deal with it, but I want to see how he solves this problem. Luan gritted his teeth. He did not hesitate to bear the infamy and humiliation back then, just to prevent today's tragedy from happening. Unexpectedly, it happened in the end, and all his hard work was in vain. Emperor of Heaven, Lu Wangshu and the others were a little flustered, and they all looked at the silver-haired figure on the emperor's throne. At this point, all I can do is place my hopes on that man. On the throne, Yi Junlin looked at all this calmly, with a subtle arc at the corner of his mouth, and his long-awaited light flashed in his eyes. Haha, it finally started. Window. _Taboola equals window. _Taboola. Push mode, thumbs feed 01, container, Taboola below article thumbnail, 300 by 250 feet, placement, below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet, target _type, mix. Chapter 817, Other Side. The divine fruit produced by the void divine tree was quickly transformed into a mature form, shining with bright divine light, reflecting on the joyful face of the Chaos Heavenly Emperor. After many years, I have finally waited for this day, where I can break through and become a god and return to my former homeland. Because he was so emotional, the Chaos Emperor, who had always been ruthless, even had tears in his eyes. He couldn't wait to reach out his hand, pluck the supreme divine fruit from the void sacred tree, put it into his mouth and swallowed it. Moment. The Emperor of Chaos erupted with earth-shattering power, and a surging divine power surged out of his body. The void along the way collapsed inch by inch, and the entire mysterious space he was in was shattered. Boom! The entire universe is shaking violently. Accompanied by a burst of extremely cheerful laughter, from the deepest part of the universe, a man in golden robes filled with divine light stepped out. He carried an unparalleled aura, his eyes were gleaming, and he was extremely confident. I have become a god, who in this world can stop me? The majestic and resonant voice was full of invincibility, and the rumble shook all the star fields, and countless planets were trembling. It's the Lord of the Divine Court, a creature said in horror. Many world owners began to feel scared, fearing that they would be liquidated by the Lord of the Divine Court. They know that the Lord of the Divine Court regards the common people as ants, is extremely indifferent to life, and is very small-minded. Take their collective allegiance to the heavenly court as an example, this alone is enough to punish them with death. The aura is so strong, it has obviously broken away from the level of the holy way. Is this the God he said? Panlong Martial Saint looked at the supreme figure surrounded by divine light, his face full of shock. This is a god, a real god. In other words, the situation facing the universe today was all created by him. In order to become a god, he did not hesitate to sacrifice all the heavens and worlds. Shang Jiba gritted his teeth next to him. Not only Shang Jiba realized this, more and more powerful people also knew that all this was caused by the Emperor of Chaos. They felt both indignant and powerless in their hearts. After all, they have achieved transcendence and become the only true god in the world. They are as powerful as the holy city of creation and have to be trampled under their feet. What does the anger of these little people mean? Just imagine, the world has dried up and all realms have withered, just to achieve a unique divine status and break the shackles of the world. What a generous act this is. And the beautiful situation that Heavenly Court worked so hard to establish completely collapsed at this moment and disappeared. Countless monks feel heartache and despair. Feeling the shocked gazes, the Chaos Emperor showed a proud smile on his face. I have become a god now, why don't you worship me? Kneel down quickly. The cold voice echoed in the vast universe with an unquestionable power. In the eyes of the Emperor of Chaos, for such a big thing as his becoming a god, these despicable ants did not choose to kneel down to welcome him. They were really looking for death. However, after hearing the words of the Chaos Emperor, no one chose to kneel down. The creatures of all races gritted their teeth and glared at him, their eyes almost bursting with anger, and their faces filled with hatred. Although the Emperor of Chaos has become a god and can suppress all living beings, his methods are not glorious and he has offended the public. It can be said that he has offended the entire universe by his own efforts. In this case, how can he convince the public? For everyone, the world they live in is like a blood connection. Now because of the selfish desires of the Chaos Emperor, the world has dried up. What is the difference between this and killing their closest relatives? Even more serious to some extent. This is ruining the future of an individual or even the whole family. This hatred is irreconcilable. Therefore, even if the resentful Wanyu monk knew that he would offend the Chaos Emperor and cause death, he was not willing to fulfill the other party's wishes. There was no way, who allowed the Chaos Emperor to go too far in this matter, directly ruining everyone's future and survival. Under the extreme anger and hatred, the fear of death is not worth mentioning. At this time, The heavens and worlds were silent, no one was willing to kneel down and shout, they all glared at the Chaos Emperor and the culprit. Seeing this, the Chaos Emperor's face twitched. This was a scene he had never imagined. He originally thought that if he appeared in a high-profile manner as a god, these humble natives would kneel down and surrender like before, shouting in awe. Emperor of Heaven. However, the result was unexpected. No one was willing to kneel down and worship, they all stared at him angrily. The look in his eyes made him want to peel off his skin, convulse him, and cut him into pieces. The Emperor of Chaos couldn't bear this huge gap and shouted angrily, looking for death, you are so disrespectful to the Emperor of Heaven. Suddenly, an old man on crutches said angrily, you are not worthy of being called the Emperor of Heaven. We don't have an Emperor of Heaven like you. As soon as these words came out, the anger accumulated in many people's hearts was detonated, and the crowd shouted excitedly. Yes, even if you destroy our bodies, our spirits will not surrender to you. There is only one Emperor of Heaven in this world, and that is Emperor Yi Tian. You are a complete devil. You don't deserve our respect. Fuck you. The entire universe exploded, and the roars boiled like a sea. Countless creatures erupted at this moment, responding to the Chaos Emperor's crazy speech output, which was mixed with cordial greetings, which was very beautiful and beautiful. The veins on Chaos Emperor's forehead bulged, his teeth clenched, and his expression was extremely ferocious. He had always looked down on the creatures of this universe, treating them as lowly natives. Now that he had finally broken the shackles and became a god, he not only did not get the treatment he deserved, but was scolded. How could this be tolerated? A group of ants who don't know how to live or die are so disrespectful to a god. Let me see how I will kill you all. Anyway, my goal has been achieved. This universe is no longer important to me. The furious Chaos Emperor released vast divine power fluctuations all over his body. The starry sky was shaking wildly, as if it could not bear the wrath of a god. Just as he was about to start a massacre, a clear voice with a joke came from a distance. Wait, Yi Junlin walked over with his hands behind his back, emitting infinite light all over his body. He was extremely eye-catching in the cold and dark universe, and immediately attracted everyone's attention. It's Yi Tiandi. The eyes of the strong men from all walks of life lit up. This is the leader in their minds and the embodiment of faith. Chaos Tiandi's eyes fell on the silver-haired young man, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, you dare to show up. That's right, you can't hide anyway, I will kill you today. Chaos Tiandi hated this man very much. The other party's growth rate was too terrible, it was unheard of, even he, a creature from a high-level plane, was afraid. But now, he is full of absolute confidence in himself, just because he is the only god in this universe. Chapter 818, Kill me, I'm afraid you don't have the ability, Yi Junlin said in a meaningful tone. The Emperor of Chaos was startled, his eyes looking like he was looking at a retard. Where does this guy get his confidence? Don't you see that I have become a god? Don't you think that the saint of creation can fight against the gods? You humble native, I can see that you have no concept of God. In this case, let me show you the power of God. The Chaos Emperor sneered and stretched out a finger in front of him. Aha! The terrifying divine power fluctuated in all directions, and a chaotic finger wrapped with mysterious runes suddenly appeared. It was huge and boundless, covering a star field, and rumbled down, like a pillar holding up the sky. In an instant, countless monks felt suffocated, and then they deeply realized how terrifying the power of God is. With just one finger, you can kill all the powerful men in the Holy Realm. The Chaos Emperor's mouth was cruel and playful. He wanted to use this finger to kill Yi Junlin in front of all living beings and completely destroy their hope and faith. Then, go on a killing spree, wash out the universe with blood, and finally leave this crappy place. Haha, now, Yi Junlin's eyes flashed with excitement, and a familiar system prompt sounded in his mind, which sounded so beautiful at this moment. Ding, it is detected that the host encounters an attack from an enemy in the early stage of True God Realm. Now it triggers the passive effect of becoming stronger when encountering strong ones, and obtains the cultivation level in the middle stage of True God Realm. Close black lens bracket. The next second, Yi Junlin's whole body erupted with extremely powerful aura fluctuations, and his life level jumped to a new realm. A bright golden light spread from his body, rendering the universe golden. Sensing this aura of cultivation that also belonged to the True God Realm, the smile on the corner of the Chaos Emperor's mouth froze. Immediately, his eyes were filled with deep disbelief, and he lost his voice in disbelief. This is impossible. He almost thought it was an illusion, but the cultivation aura released by Yi Junlin was indeed the realm of true gods, and it was guaranteed to be true. Even the other party has to overpower him in terms of realm. What the hell is going on? How could a second god be born in this low-level plane? At this moment, the Chaos Emperor was confused, his head was buzzing, this scene overturned all his cognition. Boom! The pressing finger of chaos immediately shattered and turned into nothing. Yi Junlin slowly retracted his hand. The golden divine light shrouding his body was bright, like a noble divine king standing in the universe. It was full of oppression and made all living beings fall over. Master, he actually broke through and became a god. Hong Chenyi said in shock. As expected of Master, breaking through the realm is so easy. Even the divine realm can be reached with a single thought. Li Wuji said excitedly. It turns out that this is Yi Daoyu's confidence. He also has the conditions to become a god, so he is not afraid of the threat of the Lord of the Divine Court. Empress Fuyao and others sighed after reacting from the shock. When they witnessed Yi Junlin becoming a god at a critical moment, everyone agreed that this was done intentionally by Yi Junlin. This is to tell the Emperor of Chaos that I can also achieve the realm you have in mind. I broke through the so-called realm of gods with just one thought. That is to say, Emperor Yi Tian is fully capable of making all this go back to the past. He is just playing tricks on the Lord of the Divine Court. Thinking of this possibility, Emperor Tian's eyes were filled with fear. It seems that we really worried too much. Everything is under his control. Rania felt incredible and murmured. He had complained about Yi Junlin's inaction before and expressed doubts about the promises made by Yi Junlin. After all, even someone as powerful as the Lord of the Divine Court needed to rely on this despicable method of sacrificing all realms to achieve his breakthrough to the Divine Realm, so he felt that Yi Junlin had no chance. As a result, the other party became a god directly in front of everyone. This shows that this person has absolute control over the situation and also has the means to turn things around. All his previous worries and incomprehensions seem so unnecessary and ridiculous at this moment. We congratulate the Emperor of Heaven for becoming a god. Marshal Saint Panlong was so excited that he knelt down and shouted without hesitation. Congratulations to the Emperor of Heaven for becoming a god. In an instant, like a chain reaction, all the creatures in the world knelt down and shouted, feeling awe from the bottom of their hearts. The cry of the mountain is endless, shaking the entire universe. This scene is in sharp contrast to the Chaos Emperor who had no one to respond to before, and the verdict is clear. The Chaos Heavenly Emperor stood as stunned as if he was petrified, and immediately reacted, his cheeks burning with pain, as if he had been slapped hard. Suddenly, I felt extremely ashamed. He was puzzled by Yi Junlin's ability to break through the shackles of heaven and earth and become a god, because this universe has not yet developed into favorable conditions for becoming a god, and at most it can only support the birth of many saints of creation. And the reason why he became a god was because he relied on the void sacred tree obtained in a high-level plane and took a shortcut at the cost of sacrificing all realms. Without the void sacred tree, he would not be able to become a god. He could only wait for the opportunity to become a god. All this takes a long time. However, Yi Junlin broke this rule, regardless of the shackles of this universe, and forcibly broke through to the divine realm. Even the Emperor of Chaos who came from a high-level plane feels like he has opened his eyes and gained insights. Could it be that this native has an extremely incredible physique and can advance in cultivation regardless of the surrounding environment as long as he meets the conditions for a breakthrough? When the Emperor of Chaos thought of this possibility, his heart beat fiercely, and the look in his eyes towards Yi Junlin became very different. He had seen descriptions of this physique in the sect's records, and knew how unnatural this physique was. It was said that one of the several divine emperors who dominated the god realm had this physique. From the backward low-level plane, he ignored the shackles and broke through all the way until he ascended to the god realm. He continued to improve his cultivation level at an unstoppable pace, and finally went from the true god to the position of god emperor and became one of the rulers of the god realm. Therefore, when he saw Yi Junlin's defiant behavior, the Chaos Emperor immediately thought of this terrifying physique. No wonder you are different from other natives. Damn it, why is it that the lucky one is not me, but a low-level creature from a small place like you? The Chaos Emperor gritted his teeth, feeling strong jealousy in his heart. Yi Junlin raised his eyebrows, thinking that the other party must have misunderstood something. He shook his head and said, "Next, will you die to apologize, or will I send you on your way in person?" Hear the words. The Emperor of Chaos laughed angrily. Your cultivation is indeed stronger than mine, but we have different origins. I am from the god realm and master a variety of advanced divine arts. If we fight, you may not be able to win. God realm. Yi Junline's eyes burst out with a bright light. Just as he had guessed, the other party was definitely not a creature of this universe, but came from a higher plane, which was what the other party called the God realm. As soon as you hear the name, you know that this must be a super plane where gods roam everywhere. The Yu Emperor who died at the beginning must have come from the so-called God realm like the Chaos Heavenly Emperor. Both of them were native creatures of the God realm, but they fell into this low-level plane for unknown reasons. No wonder that from beginning to end, he has a kind of contempt and disgust for the creatures in this universe. The most important thing is that they can know the existence of the Chi of creation in advance, thereby seizing the opportunity to be promoted to the Saint of creation, and then monopolize the Chi of creation, cutting off the promotion path of those who come after you. It is precisely because they were born in such a big place as the God realm that the Chaos Heavenly Emperor and Yu Emperor were able to grasp the information gap and find shortcuts to break through the holy creation first. Everything is revealed. Seeing Yi Junline's appearance, the Chaos Emperor's lips sneered. It's surprising, right? This is the gap between you and me. After saying that, as endless divine power gathered in the fist, densely packed sacred runes surrounded the surface of the fist. Advanced magic, Chaos Divine Fist. The Emperor of Chaos said sternly, with his hair flying, and he used the moves he was once good at. Rumble. The black and white fist mark emerged with a huge whirlpool, as if it was about to swallow the entire universe. Billions of planets were shaking violently, then shattered into pieces and turned into powder. The Chaos Heavenly Emperor's punches were extremely astonishing and unparalleled, and he vowed to show Yi Junline how powerful he was, a genius from the God realm. Heavenly Emperor Fist. Yi Junline did not hesitate to use his strongest fist move. In an instant, the Emperor's power was overwhelming, and the vast divine power was released in his fist. The invincible light of the fist suppressed the past and present, as if he wanted to break all the shackles in the world. The sound of the crash rumbled, echoed in the starry sky, and spread to every corner. Under the shocked eyes of countless creatures, the two sides officially started fighting. The sun and moon are eternally silent, the stars and rivers are annihilated, and the universe explodes. This is the battle between two gods. During the battle, the Chaos Heavenly Emperor's face became increasingly ugly. He originally thought that he was born in the God realm and was at least the genius of a large sect. He mastered a variety of high-level divine arts and could easily kill enemies across levels and kill the country bumpkins in this low-level plane. Who would have imagined that as the battle progressed, the opponent was not as easy to deal with as he thought? On the contrary, it was very difficult. Spear of Chaos. A black and white divine spear suddenly condensed and released endless fluctuations of divine power. It was grabbed by the Emperor of Chaos and then violently thrown towards Yi Junline. The divine spear tears through the vast starry sky, as if it can penetrate the entire plane. It seems that no matter where the enemy is hiding, there will be nothing to hide from this divine spear. Yi Junline struck out with the Heavenly Emperor's fist again, and with an invincible momentum, he smashed the Spear of Chaos. Immediately afterwards, he killed the Chaos Emperor with unparalleled power. Damn natives, I don't believe I can't kill you. Feeling extremely troubled, the Chaos Emperor gritted his teeth and mobilized all his divine power. Boom! A huge and dull sound sounded, and all the creatures in the universe could hear it clearly, and their hearts almost skipped a beat. Yi Junline suddenly felt a big threat. A hazy mist of chaos suddenly appeared around him, shrouding him tightly like a cage, and then an unimaginable terrifying force erupted, trying to wipe him out of the world. Don't say you are in the middle stage of the true God. Even if you are the perfect true God, there is no way you can survive this move. The Chaos Emperor's face was full of cruelty, and his tone revealed an absolute confidence. After becoming a true God, he no longer considered Yi Junline to be his opponent because the starting point was different. Chapter 819. Boom boom boom. There was a lot of noise in the chaos mist. Hee, Chaos Emperor sneered. He could already imagine how desperate Yi Junline was inside. However, the noise was getting louder and louder, which made him feel something was wrong. With a bang, 3 figures broke through the chaos mist. They were all dressed in white and had silver hair, and their bodies were shining with divine light. This was Yi Junline's one breath into 3 pure ones. At this moment, Yi Junline thought that he had basically tested the opponent's full strength and felt that it was time to fight without reservation. The other 2 clones, like him, were in the middle stage of the true God, and their strength was equal to that of the original body. The next second, Yi Junline and the other 2 clones attacked Chaos Emperor fiercely, using all kinds of moves. What? Chaos Emperor was shocked. Looking at the 3 Yi Junlins attacking him, his scalp was numb and his whole body was cold. Then, he could only bite the bullet and be forced to deal with it. After a while, he was beaten to the point of spitting blood, and his whole body was on the verge of breaking, like a porcelain covered with cracks. Damn it, why is this happening? I was once the core elder of a major sect in the god realm. Even if my cultivation is not as good as this native, I shouldn't be beaten so badly. The Chaos Emperor doubted his life. He was beaten all the way and his mentality collapsed. He almost lost his will to fight. Hee, let me see the true identity of you and that ghost emperor. Yi Junline's eyes flashed with a gleam of brilliance, and he sneered. Swish, the other two clones grabbed together and pressed down the shoulders of the Chaos Emperor. The Chaos Emperor was horrified to find that he was suppressed by two powerful forces and could not move. Then, he shouted in panic, "Let me go! Let me go!" Yi Junline raised his hand, smiled playfully and put it on his head, and began to search his soul roughly and extract his memory. Instantly, Chaos Emperor's face was in pain, and he felt a sharp pain coming from deep in his brain. His sea of consciousness was being explored without reservation. Interesting, Yi Junline's eyes flickered. In the process of searching his soul, he learned all the information about Chaos Emperor in the god realm. It turned out that Chaos Emperor was the name he gave himself in this universe. He was a core elder from a sect ranked in the upper middle of the god realm. His real name was Chang Baiwu. Like Han Kongming, who was known as the Emperor Yu, they were both core elders in the same sect. Back then, Chang Baiwu and Han Kongming were not enemies, but allies. Because they participated in the factional struggle of the sect and tried to help the new master win the position of the headmaster, they bet on the wrong horse. As accomplices, they were naturally liquidated and their cultivation was abolished and exiled to a low-level universe to start over. Because they were in the great god realm before and had rich experience in cultivation, Chang Baiwu and Han Kongming cultivated very quickly and easily came to the forefront of the times, becoming the top powerhouses in this universe, looking down on the crowd and leaving behind an immortal myth. At the same time, they established the two top forces of Shenting and Juyu respectively, dividing the land and governing it, and jointly controlling this universe. It's just that Han Kongming and Chang Baiwu have different ideas. He wants to wait for this universe to slowly develop and transition to its final form, then become a true god, and then break the shackles and return to the god realm. But Chang Baiwu's idea is more radical. Because he brought out the special treasure of the void god tree in the sect, he can rely on the power of the star cores of the heavens and the worlds to become a god one step ahead, so he and Han Kongming began to disagree with each other, and the two sides confronted each other in their respective camps, fighting openly and secretly. And because the Kunlun realm star core is the only highest level eternal star core, it is one of the most important conditions for the void god tree to condense the god fruit. This is why the status of Kunlun realm is so critical and is regarded as the node of the struggle between Shenting and Juyu. Kill me, Chang Baiwu laughed bitterly, knowing that he had no way to survive. His years of hard work and forbearance had gone to waste. The deep sense of defeat and blow made him want to die. Okay, I'll help you. Yi Junline sneered, and his big hand burst out with all his divine power. In an instant, Chang Baiwu's head exploded, and his body was shattered inch by inch, dissipating in the universe like wind and sand. Poor Chang Baiwu went to Tianjizi to calculate the future results to ensure that the plan was foolproof. Who knew that he did become a god in the first half, but ended up like this in the second half? Great. At this moment, countless creatures were ecstatic and applauded excitedly. The whole world celebrated, and the starry sky was boiling. The former lord of the divine court, the initiator of the chaos in the universe, finally paid the price he deserved. Seeing the Chaos Emperor being killed with their own eyes, Lu Wangshu and others smiled, and their hearts finally settled down. Win, the Emperor of Heaven wins. Kunlun world was filled with cheers, and many people even cried with joy. Yi Junline flashed back to the heavenly court. Even if he was deliberately restrained, the divine power he exuded invisibly still frightened the Fuyao Empress and others. After all, this is a god. Emperor Yi Tian, we apologize for our previous misunderstanding. Di Tian and Luan said ashamedly. Haha, I said that it is right to believe in master. That shitty lord of the god court was killed by my master in the end. Li Wuji said excitedly. Yi Junline waved his hand and said generously, no need to say more, you are also thinking about the people of the world. Now the crisis is over, and this is all in the past. Di Tian and Luan heard this, and they were extremely impressed and completely convinced by Yi Junline. Emperor, how can we save the world? What do we need to do? Suddenly, Lu Wangshu asked the most concerned question in everyone's mind. Now, Chaos Emperor has died in battle, but what about the mess he left behind? If all the worlds cannot be restored to their original state, then all creatures will slowly die in this catastrophe. Yi Junlin chuckled, "Don't worry, it's a piece of cake for me." Wow. After saying that, he waved his sleeves, and in the shocked eyes of everyone, billions of divine powers flew out like a meteor shower, falling on the star cores inside the world. Like a spring rain, the originally exhausted star cores regained vitality. Perhaps because of this destruction and then establishment, the level of many star cores has been raised to a higher level. Window. _tabula equals window. _tabula_tabula. Push mode. Thumbs feed 01. Container. Tabula below article thumbnail, 300 by 250 feet. Placement. Below article thumbnail 300 by 250 feet. Target _type. Mix. Warm reminder. The website is about to be revised, which may cause the loss of reading progress. Please save the bookshelf and reading record. In time, it is recommended to take a screenshot to save. We apologize for the inconvenience caused to you. The heavens and the worlds are full of vitality again. Great, our world has been restored. Thank you, Yi Tiandi. Thank you, the great Lord of Heaven. Many people burst into tears, either kneeling and shouting, or kissing the ground, feeling a sense of relief and joy at having lost and regained. After a while, Yi Junlin found the location of Tianyuan, removed the seal of Tianyuan, and took out the chi of good fortune inside, which made Fuyao Empress and others break through the saint of good fortune one after another. The saint of good fortune was no longer an unattainable goal. Because the chi of good fortune in Tianyuan can be regenerated, but the time will be slower. In order to avoid the monopoly of later generations and to be fair and just, Yi Junlin deliberately added an entrance, called the Gate of Good Fortune, which will open automatically every million years, and only allow the Saint Ancestor Realm monks to enter and rob. It will be closed at a certain time, and it will repeat over and over again. After doing all this, Yi Junlin continued to stay in the heavenly court for a long time, and then he wanted to leave again. After breaking through the true God realm, he always felt uncomfortable staying in this universe. This feeling was like a giant coming to a small space, feeling very uncomfortable and difficult to let go. Yi Junlin thought, this may be the price of becoming a god. After all, this plane is too low level and it is difficult to accommodate a god. And the god realm is where the gods should stay. According to the information obtained from soul searching, Yi Junlin knew how vast the god realm was. Compared with it, the universe he was in was, without exaggeration, a microcosm. Just like the difference between a drop of water and the vast ocean. On this day, everyone felt very reluctant to let Yi Junlin go. Without Yi Junlin, the heavenly court had no soul. This was the spiritual pillar of all the soldiers in the heavenly court and the belief of all the people in the Kunlun realm. Now that Yi Junlin was about to leave, it would be strange if they didn't feel uncomfortable. Emperor of Heaven, don't leave. We can't bear to let you go. Many people cried on the spot. Empress Fuyao and the others were in a heavy mood and wanted to ask for retention, but they knew that once this man made a decision, he would never change it. Yi Junlin smiled bitterly and said, why is it like a life and death separation? You can also go to the God realm to find me in the future, or I will come back to find you when I become the God Emperor in the future. The God Emperor is a realm that many gods cannot reach, but for him, it is a done deal. Master, take care of yourself. Your disciple will definitely come to find you. Hong Chenny and the others said. Well, your master will wait for you in the God realm. Yi Junlin showed a gentle smile. Because a god died, the universe was nourished, so the progress of development was also accelerated, at least reducing more than half of the time. When the opportunity to become a god appears, a group of gods will definitely be born one after another. By then, everyone can gather in the God realm again, and even develop the heavenly court to the God realm. In the eyes of everyone reluctant to leave, Yi Junlin took a step and came to the vast starry sky, with mixed feelings in his heart. Suddenly, he began to try to communicate with the God realm, and soon there was a response. Rumble. Suddenly, the entire universe was shaking, and the movement was so great that all the creatures in the world cast shocked eyes. Above the starry sky, the passage to the God realm was opened, and a bright divine light shot straight in and fell on Yi Junlin's figure. In an instant, Yi Junlin felt light all over, and his body flew towards the passage to the God realm involuntarily. Look, the Emperor of Heaven is about to ascend to the legendary God realm. Someone said excitedly. Alas, this day has finally come. There were also cultivators who were very sad and did not want to see this scene. Great Emperor of Heaven, please don't leave us. Some people even cried loudly, and their emotions were almost out of control. Yi Junlin's ascension directly touched the hearts of all races. There was no way. He was too important to all living beings. His existence was a belief, a spiritual symbol, and the heavenly court where he was the real heavenly court in everyone's eyes. If he left, no one would be happy, but only reluctant and sad. Sister, Yi Tiandi is leaving. In the Shira realm, Luo Yan looked at the silver-haired figure shrouded in divine light with a complex expression. How much he wanted to surpass this man, but after a series of things, he found that this was simply wishful thinking. Until the other party became a god and killed the Chaos Emperor, Luo Yan was completely relieved. This kind of evil existence was not something he could compare to, not to mention that the Shira realm was also very good under the governance of the Heavenly Court, and it was not oppressed or liquidated. Next to Luo Yan stood a 1.5-meter tall loli with twin ponytails, wearing dark gothic clothes, with skin as white as jade, breathtakingly beautiful and suffocating. When she saw Yi Junlin was about to ascend to the god realm, Rosa felt inexplicably empty in her heart, and her eyes were a little dim. To be fair, she had never seen a man as special as Yi Junlin, and it was precisely because of Yi Junlin that Rosa didn't like any other men of the same generation. But Rosa knew that it was impossible for her and Yi Junlin to be together, and this complicated feeling could only be buried in her heart. You wait, I will become a god in the future. Rosa clenched her fists, gritted her teeth, and a hint of determination flashed across her beautiful eyes, as if she had found the motivation to move forward again. Under the attention of the crowd, Yi Junlin came to the passage of the god realm, turned around and looked at the people who came out to see him off, and all those familiar faces came into his eyes, and he was filled with emotion. Farewell to the Emperor of Heaven. I don't know who shouted first, and then all the heavens and the worlds rang out this sentence, sweeping the entire universe like a storm. Farewell to the Emperor of Heaven's ascension. In an instant, shouts from all over the world gathered together, and the cheers shook the vast starry sky. Goodbye, everyone. Yi Junlin took a deep breath, turned his back and waved his hand, and finally walked into the passage to the god realm calmly. He was not worried about encountering danger in the god realm, because he became stronger when he met a strong opponent, and his cultivation had no upper limit. The passage to the god realm was closed and disappeared in the vast universe, as if it had never appeared. According to historical records from all walks of life, after saving the universe, Emperor Yi Tian became the first creature in history to ascend to the god realm. With his departure, his era also came to an end, leaving only endless legends to inspire future generations to keep moving forward. The book is finished. P.S. Actually, this book is a bit regrettable, and I also thank all the readers who followed it all the way to the end. Because it doesn't make money, I can only write it intermittently, and even have the idea of ending it, but when I think of readers who are always following my book, I think I still have to continue writing, at least to give a reasonable ending. In short, this book has officially ended. Thank you to all the readers who have followed me all the way here. I hope you will live a happy life and be happy forever. As for the new book, it will probably appear in February or March next year. You can pay attention to it to avoid getting lost. Finally, I want to say thank you again. Warm reminder, the website is about to be revised, which may cause the reading progress to be lost. Please save the bookshelf and reading record. In time, it is recommended to take screenshots to save. Sorry for the inconvenience caused to you.